What we do here is go back.
Good evening. It is 17 minutes past 8 and it is Saturday, the 30th of May 2026. Good evening and welcome. Hopefully you can all hear me and see me. If you can, please let me know in the chat. Hopefully I haven't left any microphones off or any extra microphones on and everything is looking reasonable.
All good with you outside. Okay.
Looks like we're all good, and thank you all for joining us on this what has been another glorious week here in the United Kingdom. Pretty much it's been a warm one today as well. It's been a warm one pretty much every day. It was supposed to start raining heavily from like Wednesday onwards, but it's been absolutely great. Sunday was it?
It's meant to be.
All right,
This
okay.
Sunday, tomorrow.
But yeah, it's been very nice. So the suntan is coming on, and been spending some time in the garden and actually bitten to pieces, lying on the grass in the UK
On a blanket though.
on a blanket is not a safe thing to do. I've got more bites on me than I think I've ever known before. It's rather uncomfortable. Anyway, good evening. Glad you're all with us. And tonight, as you can tell from the thumbnail and probably from the title of the video, tonight we're going to be looking at a retro PC. But as they say in that film, you never go full retro. Some of you may know what that reference is from. If you do, great, fantastic. If not, I'm not going to spoil it for you. You should watch the film. But yes, there are some good reasons why you should never go full retro, in my opinion, and possibly in yours as well. Hence why the case that we're looking at in tonight's stream is suitable for basically modern PCs with all of their complexities and other things like water cooling, loads of RGB, massive graphics cards, vertical mounted graphics cards, all that kind of stuff. But I know there are some of you out there, and myself as well, that do sort of long, or at least have a nostalgic kind of pang for the PCs that we knew of yesteryear. So if you grew up you had a computer in the 80s, probably the 90s, and possibly even early 2000s, potentially you had one of those beige boxes on your desk. And every day you looked at it and listened to the sounds that it made, the whirring of hard drives, the clacking of a floppy drive seeking every time you boot it up. The nostalgia is real, but I think you do have to be a certain age to appreciate it. And I think what Thermaltake have done with this case, being that it's got everything that you'd have in a modern PC chassis, but also has a definite tip of the hat or nod towards retro gaming, I think it's a really good choice. Now, I've had older PCs on the channel before. We fixed a couple, and I think we've shown a few in the past. I have always wanted to build a retro PC, but the practicality of actually getting a correct period case and installing hardware into it, especially trying to find older hardware, and that is assuming that the caps haven't all burst and the battery hasn't leaked everywhere and all that kind of stuff, or finding a floppy drive which isn't excessively noisy. And realistically, in the modern day, do you really want to use a mechanical hard drive? Yes, the nostalgia for the sounds is real, but they're really slow. And even if you add a mechanical drive or even a CD drive to a modern Windows PC, it does definitely slow down the experience. Even things of like open up Windows Explorer, it's got to poll the drives, all that kind of stuff. It's not ideal. It's nice, and for some people, if you still use a CD drive or DVD drive, then yeah, that's fine. But I always found that it made my PC seem a little bit laggy at times, waiting for it to access those drives. So yeah, I think this is the right way forward. So as we get on later into the stream, we will be battling flies that are flying around here. We will be looking at this case, and I'm still not entirely sure what I'm going to put inside it. I've got a few thoughts, and I'll share those with you as we go through it. I really do want to do a build on it, but I'm not too sure what to put in it. And also, based on what the case is, and it is essentially a beige box, do you go for a whited out build, or do you go for just normal black components in there? Black fans, black AIO? It's a really tricky one, and it has got me thinking, so I'll be looking for some input from you guys and girls in the chat. Let me know what you think and what you would like to see, and yeah, we'll see if we can please at least a few people in the chat. I know we won't please everybody. Some people just don't see the attraction or the allure of these type of cases, and I understand. We are living in modern times, but I think it's nice that there is actually an option. Whether or not you like it, I guess that doesn't really matter. It is the fact that we are in the PC community, and most of us here are in the PC DIY community. We like to do things ourselves rather than buying a off-the-shelf number, and having the option of having a slightly more retro-looking inspired case. I think it's a nice touch, but it's not for everyone. I completely understand that. So let me know what you think in the comments section. And yeah, I think that is pretty much it for the intro. Let's see who is in the chat. Good to see some familiar faces and also some new faces as well. So we've got Rallies in the chat, Rick H. Hope you're feeling better. David Underhill, who says, why fake 3 1/4 and 3.5 inch bays? Still cases that have them. I think that is, yeah, what I was kind of trying to get across in that introduction, that although it's a nice option to be able to possibly have those older drives, do you really want them? And do you actually need them in this modern era where a floppy drive obviously is very slow and doesn't hold much information, whereas a USB drive is far more practical, far more long-lasting, and less likely for mechanical failure or even accidental erasure. I do like the sound of a floppy disk drive booting up in a system, and just to see it in Windows Explorer would be a nice thing, but there are so many downsides. Also, you've got things such as power supplies not necessarily having the right connections for them. Definitely finding a motherboard with a floppy connector is going to be extremely hard in this modern era. In which case, if you do want a floppy drive and those sorts of things and you want to use that old stuff, then you do really want a proper retro PC, not a retro inspired PC. Who else we got? Shaky's in the house. Are we using a floppy drive emulator with Windows 95? No, we won't be doing that. JR5XF says even all. How you doing? Dutch Jan. How you doing, Dutch Jan? Mark Berry's in the house as well. Here we are again, mothers. Hope you all had a good day on the mobile tonight. Internet still out of action. Oh, sorry to hear that. I did read about it on Discord earlier, so I do understand. Charles Ballard's here. I have arrived. Let the pigeons loose. Let the children sing. Let's do that. John David Sullivan says, even everyone. Senrab. He says he needs some coat hangers and a tin foil hat. Yep. Or tin foil, rather. I added the hat. That was me. Aletta, sorry to disappoint everyone, but I'm here yet again, so suffer. Thanks, Aletta. Oh, dear. Viali, good evening, Mike, Kath, and Mubs worldwide. Another night of fun. Oh, let's hope so. Even if it is just in the chat. I'm just here as a conduit for you lot to all chat to each other. Saram says, wait, does retro case mean retro music and Pentium D CPU? Wouldn't that be nice? Actually, saying that, I have got upstairs in our daughter's bedroom her old PC, which not quite retro yet, but it is an older AM2 or AM2 Plus system with, I believe it's DDR2. And I think that motherboard might even have a floppy drive connection on it, possibly. So, I could even use that. I don't know though. Where we go? Just reading through the chat. Sky's in the house as well. How you doing, Sky? Hey all you awesome peoples, Mubsters of the World Unite. I've been forgetting to click on the thing. Is that working? Yeah, that does appear to be working. Great stuff. Viali says, brings back memories. Mine was a bit more yellow. Used to smoke back then. I actually today, I've done 2 videos earlier on today. One of which is like a typical PC debloat video, but the other one was actually the kind of the review for the case. And I did mention that as well, like people that actually had PCs back in the day, late 80s, early 90s, when the beige box was the thing. And basically you didn't really, well, the only choices back then really were either desktop, like horizontal or vertical. That was kind of it really. You didn't really have many choices. That was, yeah, do you put your monitor on top of your PC or next to the PC? That was the only real choices. But yeah, people there are many smokers around, and you could smoke in offices and stuff back then. So PCs did get a little bit more yellowed, let's say. So we'll be taking a look at that. Greg M's here, afternoon. Samram says, oh no, retro music. Was the retro music on today? I can't remember. Hello, Mike Caff and everyone in chat. From Mark Gaines. How you doing, Mark? Just reading it through. Okay, no, looks like we're all good. Les says 18 minutes past 3 p.m. here. Nero says, I see a bald man with a shiny head, so I guess it's working. Good, good. Rasher's in the house. How you doing, Rasher? Sarah says, what's happened to our mic? Who's the AI hologram? If only. There's been a lot of things going on. I'm not sure, like, to start off this stream, I don't know if you've been following the kind of like the tech news this week. Obviously, next week we have got the Computex show, which is probably arguably the biggest tech show, at least for like PC stuff and computer stuff. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens and what is said and what is new. I'm guessing it's going to be very much more of the same. So it's going to be basically everything's going to have the word AI slapped onto it. But will it? This is the thing. There does appear to be a more significant backlash. Now, the AI backlash is one of those things where, like with anything, it starts off as a little bit of a kind of grassroots movement. So individuals, small groups, Discord communities, that sort of thing. But as these things generally tend to grow or gain more popularity, or the subject grows, more people become involved, and it sort of gets towards a mainstream level almost. There has been a few recent outbursts where people, especially people in places of power or privilege, have been giving speeches or talks or whatever, and they've mentioned AI, and they've been getting booed pretty heavily. Even the ex-CEO of Google was giving a talk at a university, I believe it was, and was struggling to actually get through the monologue because of people booing what he had to say. And it seems to be happening more and more. So I don't know, if we want to air our grievances or our lack of interest or lack of desire for AI to be crammed into every aspect of our lives, maybe that's what we should do. Just use the word boo or make a noise if people start talking about it in any public gatherings. Maybe that's the way it should be. I don't know. All I can say is, at the moment, for us in the PC community, and I'm one of those people where I genuinely have a passion for computers and computing. It is something that I genuinely love. It is my job, but it's also my hobby. Which is also a problem because you never really know when your job starts and where your hobby begins. They kind of blur in between. But the thing is, at the moment, my hobby, and by extension my job, is being affected by AI. So you only have to look at YouTube videos at the moment. Viewing numbers are way, way down. In the tech community especially. Lots of other content creators have said about it and mentioned it. There is no real reason why a lot of people will watch YouTube videos on tech at this moment. Because if you can't buy tech, you don't really have the interest because it's unobtainable. Now, I don't know whether this is by design. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Whether or not Nvidia are playing this really, really long game to get everything as being like software as a service. So essentially we all use kind of like ridiculously low powered dumb terminals and we rent the hardware to play games on, that sort of thing. Maybe that's how it's going to be.
And they store all our documents.
We've been sort of edged towards it in lots of times over the years with various different online services cropping up where you could play a game on like decent hardware for a monthly subscription. You've got also GeForce Now, and there's various other platforms which will do it for you. And that was really aimed at gaming. But if it gets to the point where we can't actually buy RAM, we can't really buy storage, then where does that leave us as a community? Because what we actually love doing and what we enjoy doing, we will no longer be able to do. Whether it be because the parts are just not available at all, or they're just priced out of our means, which they basically are at the moment. I almost cried today. I bought some RAM, which was 48 gigs of DDR5 from Crucial, 5600 speed, and CL46, which is horrible timings. It's 48 gigs, so there is that to it. Even with a massive discount from the seller on eBay, it was still £288, which, don't get me wrong, at the current time for RAM, that is an extremely good price. But most 32 gig kits of RAM here in the UK at the moment, new, are somewhere between £300 and £400. And it's so soul destroying. When you're spending £400 on RAM, then possibly another £100 or £200 on storage, it doesn't leave a lot in the bank or in the budget to do anything else with it, such as your power supply, your motherboard, your case, your graphics card. It's ridiculous. Building a nice gaming PC at this present time, realistically, you're looking at about £1,500 to £2,000, which for a lot of people is the equivalent of a month's wages, which is not great.
Sorry?
£1,500 to £2,000.
Sorry, I thought you said something else.
So it's not looking great. I'm going to take a swig of my drink a minute. Lead Farmer says, Simple Jack. Yeah, you got it. John David Sullivan says, I paid £300 for 32 gigs of 6,000. I know. I have been paying similar prices. I did post the deal that I got earlier today, actually on our Discord, in the bargains no chat section. The seller at the time of posting had about 4 or 5 sets left. So potentially others would have got that deal or that bargain in inverted commas. So yeah, games consoles are getting more and more expensive, and I think they will just follow suit with PCs, because obviously a games console these days is effectively a PC in a wrapper. So that is going to get more expensive. We've already seen they're planning to increase the price of the Steam Deck. Steam Deck, and also the Steam PC. Looks like it's going to be even more expensive than we initially thought. PlayStation's gone up in price. Xbox will probably be going up in price as soon as they decide what they're going to do with the new version. It's not looking great. And from what Gamers Nexus and others have said, the RAM problem specifically doesn't look like it's going to be really easing off for at least 2 years, is what a lot of manufacturers are saying. And 2 years is an absolute eternity in tech. It doesn't seem like it, but it is. You think what we were doing this time last summer, prices were excellent, at least for RAM and for storage. Graphics cards were starting to dip a little bit. And if we'd have known back then what we know now, I think we would have all stocked up a lot. Whether to keep to use or to keep to sell, could have made an absolute fortune. Like, we were spending somewhere in the region of about 60 to 70 pounds, sometimes 80 pounds, on a 32 gig kit of DDR5 RAM, roughly this time last year. And now it's somewhere between 300 and 400. That is just insanity, and it just can't continue. And it seems that a lot of manufacturers in the PC tech space are really, really struggling. Their sales have dropped off horribly. Some of them sort of up to 40%, and that's what they're actually saying. Generally, they don't say things as bad as they are. So I would say you could add a few percent to that anyway. So I do see that in the next coming year, maybe 2 years, maybe even by the end of this year, a lot of the companies that we've come to know and love and buy our parts from probably won't be around, which is really, really sad. Being that the tax year starts in April, you imagine that things haven't really got any better since April. So any company which was making a loss previously in the last tax year is going to be hit even harder. And things are seriously, seriously slowing down. It's kind of horrendous. It really is. But I would love to say that there is a silver lining. Now, there is a potential silver lining because a lot of manufacturers of PC hardware, the likes of MSI, Thermaltake, Corsair, etc., they realise that the only way to keep this whole thing ticking along is to keep people interested and to keep people building and tweaking systems. Now, clearly, we cannot build full PCs because you don't have RAM, you don't have storage, or at least if you do, it's ridiculously expensive. But what they are aware of is that people get to the point after a couple of years that they get bored of their PC and they just want it to do something a little bit different, or they want it to look different. So we've still got access to all those kind of things that we kind of like. So AIOs, new cases, upgraded fans, upgraded coolers, all that kind of stuff. So it isn't quite game over yet for a lot of these companies, but they are going to have to make some significant price cuts to try and persuade or kind of allow people to do a PC upgrade that doesn't involve essentially new RAM and new storage. So maybe you change platforms. Maybe you're on AMD and you go to Intel. Maybe you're on Intel and you decide to go to AMD. Motherboard prices aren't too bad. CPU prices, again, aren't too bad either in a lot of places. So there are still options if you've already got components. But maybe some people don't want to do that. They want to build a whole new system. So it is problematic. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Chris Hartford, even all finally catching a stream, been a while. And Ordinary Dude, how you doing? I bought my Mac last spring suspecting this was going to happen and made sure it was a powerful model to last several years. My suspicions were right. You were absolutely right. Chris says, I mostly buy used for the bargains, but people won't offload old kit at the moment when upgrades are so expensive. Yes. Stephen says, I feel sorry for the motherboard, case and PSU makers. And hello. Greg says, I doubt that some of these companies will be in business in 18 months to 2 years. I was saying this on the Discord only yesterday, or maybe today. Or was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Companies in the UK like Overclockers, AWDIT, Scan, if they haven't got their fingers in other pies, they're going to struggle. And I know that CCL, I'm not entirely sure about CCL. I'm pretty sure CCL underwent some kind of management changes or buyout or whatever. And I think there was another company which actually went basically to the lines of almost going bankrupt or receivership, and then was bought out by another company. And of course we had places over the last few years such as eBuyer that was bought out by the Sports Direct group, bizarrely. Yeah, eBuyer is a strange site now. But yeah, it just goes to show it doesn't really matter how big they are going to be struggling. But on the flip side of that, you can tell that a lot of the components that we buy, the markups are horrendous. So things like cases. Cases generally are about a 50% markup, 40 to 50% markup for a lot of places. Now it depends where you're getting them and who's getting them and where they're getting them from, which part of the chain they are in the distribution. But realistically, things like cases, PC case fans especially, there's a massive, massive markup on those. Motherboards are again similar, sort of 40, 50% markup. So there is room for them to squeeze the margins a little bit in order for them to kind of stimulate some form of growth. But the thing is, when one company starts doing it and reducing prices, it then becomes almost like a race to the bottom. So when one does it, another has to do it. Amazon will obviously follow suit, and they've got a much bigger buying power, etc., etc. So yeah, it could get to the point where unless these companies have got their fingers in other pies, such as selling to businesses, universities, those kind of bigger bundles or those bigger deals where they can really claw some money in, they're going to struggle. And especially like some of the more, I feel like the nicer places, like your overclockers, your AWDITs, CCL, etc. Those are the sort of places which are pretty cool. They're like they're not quite independents, but they're only a few levels up from it. So yeah, it would be nice. I think Overclockers is probably a bigger entity because it's part of a much larger group. But if that entire group is focused on PCs and peripherals and gaming stuff, then yeah, they could potentially struggle. Which I hope they don't. I hope they find a way through it. But at the moment, it's not looking good. It really isn't. David Underhill says Mobo prices have actually dropped here in Australia. We've had a few motherboards drop in price. Not massively, but there is definitely a turn. Yeah, Asus is now selling RAM. Well, they're not. Technically, that is a correct statement. They are selling RAM, but it's not like they're doing a load of SKUs. It's basically one set, which is a ROG set, and it's basically to kind of commemorate 20 years of ROG. So yeah, they're not going to be coming out and being like another HyperX or another Crucial or anything like that. They're really, really just dipping their toes into it to see if they can sell it. And I think their set was a 48 gig set, which was some ridiculously low CAS latency, like CAS 28 or something, and quite a high frequency, but it was like $800. So it's not like a mainstream kit. Our Portier says you can also just pay for computer components in installments. Then you won't notice it much if you don't have the money. Here in the Netherlands, you have In3 or Klarna. Yeah, we have Klarna here, and there's various other kind of things or services you can use. But the thing is, when you start doing that, it's almost the same as like when you buy a car, but you don't buy a car, you just got it on like a lease, or you're paying off a monthly thing, or you've got a loan for it. As soon as you've got a loan for anything, or you're buying something with money you don't have on a monthly basis, it is becoming basically like almost like software as a service. So paying for a monthly subscription for like Adobe. So you never really own the product. You're just paying a price to use it. And by the time you paid it, you need a new one. That has always been the thing with cars. Like, if you buy a car, by the time you finish paying off the car, you need another car. Generally. It's that kind of vicious cycle, which once you start it, is very hard to get out of without losing an absolute shit ton of money. Greg says, hell, Cooler Master is paying $54,000 a month for a warehouse in the US to avoid tariffs, and they're running out of room to store the inventory. It is not moving. Yeah, they said that they lost basically like kind of all the orders that they thought they had. It's yeah, it's not great at all. Not great. It is a bad situation to be in. David says that B650 motherboards are cheaper here than UK prices for A620s. Yeah, it's really weird. I don't know why Australia gets like such good prices for motherboards. It's really weird. I don't understand it. Max says, I'm on AM5 since a year. Was fun until Windows 11 updates ruined it. Boot problems and GPU driver overwriting with some updates and so on. I find, well, I like Windows 11 in general. I think it's quite a stable operating system. But like with anything, different combinations of hardware and software can cause havoc. Alpha Indigo says they have 7 months before it's a total loss in the US. Bob from Wick, how you doing, Bob? I've always had the philosophy, if you can't pay for it now and be okay, then you can't afford it. Tough. Yeah, it is a kind of a harsh reality. I do agree. Kath and I, when we started out when we were younger, Kath got a credit card because I wasn't old enough at the time, and we bought things which we realistically didn't need. We bought like a Panasonic Hi-Fi, a sunbed.
Oh, it was like 550 on both cards.
Yeah.
And I thought I was in so much debt. It was horrendous, and you just couldn't
mad.
get out of it for so long.
Andrew Timms says you'll own nothing and be happy. Yeah, I know, that is the that is always the weird thing, isn't it? You'll own nothing and be happy. There is an element of truth to that, because we do get to a point, going on a slightly philosophical tangent here, but you do get to the point that the more you own, the more you worry about what you own, and the more effort you have to look after, maintain and secure those items you own. So in some respects, yes, owning nothing is actually very liberating, because what have you got? You've got nothing to lose, everything to gain. Whereas if you have things like you have your own home, you have your own computers, you have your own car, you have possessions, you have gold, you have silver, you have money in the bank, potentially it's all stuff that you can lose like that. Whereas if you've got nothing, then like...
And I think once you've registered
yeah,
stuff,
it's weird.
You don't actually own it anyway, you're just the registered keeper, aren't you?
Yeah. Model Citizen says, Mike's tanning reviews and how-tos. Yes, I've got a little bit of a tan going on. The camera isn't doing it justice, I am actually darker than this.
Get out your white bits.
No. I'm not getting out my white bits. Dutch Jan says, nowadays you can't buy anything anymore, just lease it. Yeah. Dave says, I take monthly payments if it's interest free over a few months, even if I have the cash. I can understand the value in doing that, but I also at the same time can't. Because if you've bought something and you haven't paid for it, regardless of if you've got interest free, so obviously you're not gaining any interest on it, but what is the point of keeping that money or keeping hold of it? I guess if something comes up and there's an emergency and you need to spend the money, but then you're still in that position where you're spending money which you haven't got because you own that somebody else is owed that money.
The only time I'd do that is if they gave you a percentage off for doing it on credit.
Yeah, if you got some sort of cash back or some
scheme,
sort of
wasn't it?
benefit or something, then yeah, that'd be great. Like when we got married, went to Burton's, got a Burton's charge card, and there was like a 25% cash back on whatever you bought on your first purchase. So I bought my wedding stuff, my wedding suit and all that kind of stuff, and then paid it off, and it basically cost me 25% less, or £25 less, or whatever it was. So yeah.
But on the whole, I wouldn't, because I'd forget how to pay it on time.
We used to use as well the, was it NatWest or HSBC or Morgan Stanley Dean Witter card. And if you spent money on it, you got like 2.5% back or something, was it?
No, it was quite high to begin with. It was quite...
Might be 5% or something, yeah.
Yeah, it was really
It was some
high.
mad percentage. So if you used a credit card, you actually got cash back. or like credit. So that made sense because
It was cash.
you wouldn't want to use cash. You'd want to use a card to get money back, cash back. But as long as you've got the money to put back in the bank at the end of the month.
Put the cash that we'd spent on it in a pot to pay it back at, wouldn't we? But then all the cashback offers just got really crap. Or
Yeah.
like the one.
Bob from Wick says pay in 3 with no interest means you can buy the item 3 months earlier than if you save for it to pay in 1. Yeah, pay in 3. I do get that as well.
But how many times can you do that before you can't afford to live?
Yeah. Dave says, in the PC flipping world, spread payments over a few months. You can sell the PC before you've even paid the second payment and only shelled out a third. Yeah, that is in the kind of the perfect world. If you manage to actually sell the PC and at a profit and get the money before you're due to pay the money back, then yeah, that's a good way of doing it.
So I don't find credit works very well with cash either.
Yeah. David says, I often buy using buy now, pay later, and each fortnight stick a big chunk of money interest bearing deposit until I have enough to pay it out. Okay. Rasha says, I still owe my bank €9,000 from a 19,000 credit card bill I had in 2008. I haven't paid them since 2008. Oh, God. Oh, I don't know how I'd feel having that sort of hanging over me. Although saying that, I did come close to that because, funny story, not really a funny story, but interesting, I guess. When I left the BBC, there was a kind of an issue with my holiday. So I had technically taken my holiday, but my boss, who was not very good at doing any paperwork at all or doing anything properly, he didn't register any of my holiday. So when it came to me leaving officially, they put through the wrong amount for how many days holiday I actually taken. So they overpaid me something like about £8,000 or £9,000, and it was pretty cool. So we just put the money into the account and just like kind of ring fenced it. So it's like, well, we're not going to touch it, but let's just see what happens that they've overpaid this amount, because that was effectively like the best part of like 3 months' wages. So it's a decent chunk of cash. And obviously, being it was the BBC, we left under kind of a bit of a cloud, let's say, disagreements. Didn't quite see eye to eye, so there was a little bit of kind of animosity there. So I thought, well, yeah, if they've overpaid it, that's their problem. I'm not going to tell them. Unfortunately, a few months later, I think it was a cute couple of months, wasn't it?
Only about £100 overpaid. It was only
No, it was a few thousand we sent back.
It wasn't.
The check was.
It wasn't.
Right, I'm
I
gonna
think it was.
find it.
Okay, I don't expect I've got it anymore.
Basically, yeah, they said to us, you need to send us back the money, and I basically stretched it out. So every time they said, have you sent the money back? Yeah, I've sent you a check. Oh, where did you send it to? I just sent it to this address. Oh, well, can you send it to here? Yeah, okay. And just wait until they phoned again. I just strung it out as long as I could. Eventually, we did write a check to the right place and made sure it arrived. Because I think they said at the end, it got to a point where we had like 30 days or 7 days to make sure that the thing was back. Otherwise, they would take legal action. And it's like, well, I couldn't really be arsed to go through legal action, which they didn't really have a leg to stand on anyway, because it was their fault. But whatever. Sky says, that happened to me when I retired, Mike. They came and asked for it back. $20,000. That really sucked.
Yeah, this one starts in 25, this check.
Wow. Money, money, money. Sorry, I just had a notification there. What was that? Was it anything important? I got to keep an eye on my notifications because both our kids are away at the moment. So our son is in Scotland currently, and our daughter is in Future Ventura, I believe. Is it Future Ventura?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, It's weird, loads of cars outside the house, which we don't normally have at the weekend. Dutch Jan says, what money? What are you guys talking about? Yeah, money is a fictitious thing. Designed to keep us under control.
Numbers on a computer.
Andrew says, the red arrows flew over my house earlier today. Nothing to do with credit, but I thought it was interesting. Now, was it actually the red arrows, or had you had a few too many sherbets and or a bit of heat stroke?
A few chemtrails.
Did they really fly over? They did, I know. I did read about it in the news that they were going to be doing that. JDS says, I bought a high-res music player on Kickstarter. They failed to deliver at Christmas, but wouldn't give me a full refund as they lost money too, so had to split refund. That sucks. David Under says, you guys in the UK have a weird parking rules. Park in the wrong direction, you will get a fine here.
You're meant to.
We are meant to here.
Like they're bringing it in at the moment.
Even if my granddad did years and years ago. So the technical law here in the UK is we drive on the left. So if you're parking up outside your own home or a business or whatever it is, then you are supposed to park on the left-hand side with the front of your car facing forward. Now the reason behind that is more for security or safety, because UK cars, and probably cars elsewhere, have a reflector built into the rear lights. So if a car was approaching in a darkened area, the theory being is if you park in the correct orientation, the car come out behind you will see the reflectors light up and then have time to be able to maneuver around your vehicle. It's a very old kind of ruling, and it's very, very rarely enforced, especially like in high streets, etc. And the police have probably got better things to do, like eat donuts or go after people for doing Facebook posts or something. So yeah, my granddad years ago parked outside his own house, parked the wrong way round, and he got a ticket outside his own house for parking facing the wrong direction. But how petty is that? And especially when the house was literally at the end of a road, so there was always cars kind of parked in front of it as you were going along, so it'd be like the last car in the parked rank. But yeah, it was rubbish. Matthew Day says, I think it's only at night. You could be right. Rasher says, banks are total rip-offs. How can you justify being paid over €1 million back on a €300,000 mortgage over 25 years?
Do you know they charge you a possession fee, admin fees, in case you get repossessed on the beginning of your mortgage?
Dude Delicious, have you ever gotten into custom water cooling mic? It's been a hobby of mine for a while. I'm curious what you think about it. I think I'm more likely to look at it now than I would have been ever before. I've always been tempted by it. It's always had that sort of allure or that thing. Aletta's always been asking me about it and saying I should do it, etc. But it's always been one of those things that the hobby, there's always been something else in the hobby which I could justify the money on more or easier. But now it's got to the point where we haven't got RAM and we haven't got SSDs or limited access to them. So actually doing other things to your computer, like spending money on other things, like we're all human beings and we all like to treat ourselves and we all like to have a little splurge every now and then. It may not be actually like financially viable or even realistic, but like if we work hard, like you possibly do as well, like yeah, sure, you should reward yourself with something to make it worthwhile. Otherwise, if you're just doing all this stuff and not getting anything out of it, like what's the point? You might as well enjoy it. So yeah, water cooling I think is one of those things where it is very much a niche thing, but I think when it's done and it's done nicely, it is extremely rewarding. And also it does look very cool, but it is horrendously expensive. So being that everything else is going up in price, maybe water cooling might start coming down in price. Wouldn't that be a thing? Although I think that's unlikely, because there aren't that many companies which are Well, there probably is, but I've never really looked into it. But there's no real mainstream companies which do water cooling that I really ever see or notice on any of the websites I visit. It's very rare. Unless you specifically search for it, it's actually really hard to find like any mainstream companies even promoting it. But you never know. Semarab says, challenge Mike, custom cooling in an SFF ITX case. The thing is, I probably wouldn't do it in a SFF ITX case, because like, to me, the whole point of one of those small form factor cases is just that it is small form factor and it's somewhat portable. If you start putting lots of delicate water cooling in there, probably makes it a little bit less portable, or you maybe don't want to move it around so much. And also, I think if you're doing sort of that elaborate custom cooling, you probably want to show it off. And in which case, having a lot of room in your case, like an ATX or even an eATX case, probably a nicer way of doing it to show it all off and not be as cramped as well. Not to say that you, Bob from Wick says soon you won't be able to afford the water. Yeah, you'd have to go down to the supermarket and buy some rip-off Nestle bottled water. Nice.
Bob from Wick soon won't afford the water.
Yeah, I just said that.
I can see that happening.
Yeah.
Nestle.
Matthew Day says, rule 248, you must not park on a road at night facing against the direction of traffic flow unless it is a recognised parking space. There you go. Firestorm says, the problem with water cooling is maintenance. Yes. But that's the thing. As a kind of a computer hobbyist or an enthusiast, I think the maintenance side of it is also part of the allure, because like if you look at like car guys will tweak engines, and even if their engine's running fine, they will still go out there and spend a couple of hours under the hood doing things to make it better possibly, or just to check that everything is okay. General maintenance, oil changes, fluid changes, spark plug gap adjustments, cleaning injectors, new airflow, induction kits, new air filters, exhaust valves, stage 1 kits, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, the PC kind of enthusiast market is catering, I think, to a lot of the people that would love to be able to do mechanical things but possibly can't or don't have the knowledge. But with the PC, it's all a little bit more attainable and possibly less disastrous if something goes wrong. I think there's a very close link between mechanics and PC enthusiasts. You generally find kind of there's a definite crossover. Rasher says, give a man a gun and he can rob a bank. Give a man a bank and he can rob the world. Oh dear. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Andrew Tim says, years ago you'd go to a garden centre, buy a fish tank pump for water cooling and have rear grommets on a PC case for hoses and tubes. I remember that. Alpha Indigo, I am both. Ordinary Dude, I am building an ITX in a Sugo 14 this week, using a Thermaltake tower cooler so it will run more than cool enough. No liquid cooling needed. Chris says, I waste plenty of time and money on cars and tech. Model Citizen says, potential engineers working in customer services mostly. Right, I think we should have a look at this case. See what it's all about, and see if I can make some decisions on what I'm actually going to put in it. So bear with me, talk amongst yourselves. No, I'm right, thanks. Now, I've got to try and work out where I put the case, so yeah. It's in the hallway of all the others. Might have to have a coffee in a minute. I'm falling asleep. All that sunshine. Makes you tired. Ugh. Right, first of all, I'm going to get the case up in the box. Just so, potentially, hopefully, yeah, you can see some of the specs. So, what have we got? We've got the sizes on there. So it's 493mm by 235 by 467. 4mm tempered glass. Front intake fans. Oh dear, sorry. 7 rotatable patent designed expansion slots. Got one 3.5 inch bay, one 2.5 inch bay, or 2 times 2.5. Yeah, you can probably read all that, can't you? It does say on there micro ATX and ATX, but I think it would fit extended ATX as well. But let's get it out of the box and take a look. Sorry? With a cat?
Yeah.
The box?
I don't know.
And the case?
Something with a cat.
I don't know. Sorry about this, I am taking the case out. What am I on top of? Oh, the mouse. Who put the mouse there? That was me. Okay, so yeah, you can see the case and you can see the sort of design and the aesthetic. So this top section, so this would be where normally you'd have your kind of 5.25 inch bays. There is a fake CD-ROM drive, which I'm not too sure how well that is coming across on the camera. I think you can just like see it. They've even gone to the detail of adding like the push button for the eject. That's raised. And the kind of like a blank section under there, pretty much. Underneath that, a 3.5 inch floppy drive, which I'm almost tempted to colour in that flap, like a different colour. But then having said that, those flaps generally were the same colour as the drive. So I think I'll leave that as is. At the bottom, you've got this louvered section.
Can you actually put them in if you want to?
No. It's got louvered section there, which is all air intake. Very, very reminiscent of the kind of the mid-90s PC cases. Bit of minimal logo at the bottom. Power button with a hard drive, with a LED in the middle. Got the reset button, combo headset mic jack. USB Type-C, so that's USB 3.2 Gen 2, so that's 10 gigabits per second. Then you have got USB Type-A, that is 5 gigabits per second. The front panel comes off relatively easily. It does require a bit of a tug, as they did back then. So let's try and do this without smashing myself in the face. And that worked out well. So just to show you what is behind here, so this section here, you can undo those screws and you can actually install, if I've got one here, which I think I have somewhere, but I don't know where. Let's see if I have got it. No, that is not it. I thought I had the 6-inch, oh, I know where it is. I'm looking for my 6-inch LCD panel. It's in the PC behind me there. Hello, Otis. So I've moved that across. That 6-inch panel, which is in the back of that PC, which I don't know if you can actually see now that I've just moved that. Can you? No, I've moved it the wrong way.
No hard drive LED.
I'm not too sure if that LED is a hard drive LED or a power LED. I think it's a hard drive LED. So yeah.
Does this case come in Bumblebee?
No. That LCD panel there, the 6-inch one, that actually fits into the front of this case.
Blow some dust into the floppy to add realism.
Yeah. It's not a bad idea.
That's down, sorry, it's a waste of money.
Thank you, Dutch Jan. I appreciate your honesty. The thing is, like most things, like if you buy a body kit or a spoiler or some go faster stripes for your car, it may be a waste of money to some people, but to some people it is enjoyment or improvement in their eyes. And it is like that. It's like beauty is always in the eye of the beholder.
Does it have HDD room?
Yes, there is room for HDDs. I'll show you that later.
HDDs?
So yeah, that section there, if you can imagine, the LCD panel goes in there. Then you can put things on there like, I don't know, retro games or something. I don't know, whatever you choose. So yeah, you can put the 6-inch panel kit in there. I don't know whether I would, personally. Maybe. It's always a tricky thing trying to blend old with new. Like, how far do you go? I always found that with our house years ago when we had a flat which was probably built in the 60s, maybe the 50s, and I always liked like IKEA furniture, modern sort of minimalist stuff, but it's always really difficult trying to pair minimalism with basically like a 1950s house. It just always seemed to be a little bit weird. Oh my god! I have to have some coffee.
30 to 35.
Actually, I'll have some Pepsi. That's got loads of caffeine. Yeah, but the problem is with a retro case, you've got all the problems that come with a retro case.
I'll just shut that. I'm free there.
Let a cat in them.
Okay.
I'm gonna have some Pepsi in a moment. Get some caffeine in my blood. Some sugar.
You can get sugar. Sweetener.
No, this is full fat.
I know, but it's still got sweeteners in me. I've gone back to the t-shirt so many times.
Okay.
It's so funny.
Anyway, moving that out of the way. So you can see there is the fan. You get 2 fans included. Both of the fans, to be honest with you, are crap. I probably wouldn't use them, but they are there. And they're DC rather than PWM, which is not ideal. But you can put in this front section, you can put in either 2 140mm fans or 3 120s, which, yeah, not too bad. They've also kind of thought about the fact that realistically the fans are going to be on this side of the bracket. So in terms of passing your wires through for RGB, there is a cutout here at the top, which obviously a retro case wouldn't necessarily have. But yeah, I think that's quite a nice layout, reasonable amount of airflow. The only thing is, obviously, if you take into consideration a retro PC itself, or this one, where you've got your drives, or would have had drives, floppies or 5 1/4, then you're not going to get any airflow in there. So this front section kind of really is more for decoration, because the perforations in there, it's just little slits. You're going to get a reasonable amount of air through there, but it's not going to be like a traditional airflow case. So the reason they've kind of gone with that is because there is actually, on the other side of the case, another intake. So, because this is catering for modern hardware, this section here, you can have 3 120mm fans. So that becomes your intake, and that is your filter. And if you take this side off, you can see there's a lot of room in here. And also, it is ready for BTF motherboards. So you've got all the holes there for Back to the Future or Back to Front motherboards. Loads of holes for passing through your EPS cables. Loads and loads of tie down points. Loads of cable tie points as well. And also, you've got this section here.
It is not a retro case and it cannot accommodate a floppy drive for CD-ROM card.
Exactly. That is the point. it is not a retro case. It is a retro inspired case, because if you want to build a retro PC, you get a retro case. If you want to have a modern PC and all the benefits that come with that, you don't buy a retro PC case. You buy a retro inspired PC case. There is logic to it. Some people won't get it, but it does actually make some sense. And if I can find a hard drive, no, actually, yeah, I've got one there. Oh God, that is a heavy box. Actually, better not put it there because it's got my address and stuff on it. Don't want to be juggling that one around. What's that one there? 3 gigs, that'll be. Or 3 terabytes. Don't drop my discs. Leave that there. So, your hard drive rack is this bit here. So, in this section, put 2 2.5-inch drives, or I'm trying to work out how you do the others. It does sound an SSD, HDD. So hard disk drives would go like that, I think. No, there, there. So yeah, hard disk drive would go like that, and your SSD or 2.5-inch drive would go like that. So you can get 2 drives in there, either 2 2.5s or 3.5 and one of those. Simples, as they say. Oh, just meant broken my shelf. So drive storage, again, it isn't a retro PC, it's a retro inspired one, so you wouldn't really be expecting to have loads of hard disk drives, although weirdly in the bottom there is actually 2 kind of slot sections there where potentially, let me see if I can angle the camera around or angle the case around. So you've got those little slots there, so potentially at some point this kind of chassis design had cages which could have gone in there, but they're not easily accessible, so maybe to save on costs they've basically not bothered. I'm not sure. Really not sure. Anyway, when it comes to cabling, so again on this they've gone with white cables, which in some respects kind of makes sense, but also at the same time I think these might have been better as being black.
Pepsi and mustard, was it?
Ketchup and mustard.
As it should have been, didn't it?
Yeah, really, yeah. So USB Type-C, front panel connection, USB 3.0 and HD audio. So you've got all those there, nice and long as well. So if you've got BTF, it's fine. If you've got normal, again, it's also fine. And of course, loads of pass-throughs there, and also there and there. So plenty of access. In terms of power supplies, this can hold up to a 275mm power supply, or they recommend like 200mm. Now most power supplies are about 140, 150, some 160. So yeah, power supply wise, you've got no problems there, plenty of room, and also there's some little grommets or rubber kind of foam bits on the bottom to absorb any vibrations, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's pretty decent from this side. But understandably, it is somewhat niche. And it's all toolless as well. Well, to kind of take it apart and do stuff with it is toolless. So seeing the front panel now, we've seen the other panel. Let's look at the top panel before we take a look inside. So the top panel is quite nice. They've actually done the filter they've color coded it to beige. If you look on the other side, it's white. So you can see the contrast there between the white. Oh, hopefully you can. Yeah, it is coming out on camera, isn't it? So yeah, that's white on that side. The kind of beigey color there. And in the top, you can put a 360mm radiator, or you can put a 280mm rad, or you can put 3 120s or 2 140s, or one of each, or two of each, or whatever you want to do. But reasonable amount of room there on the top. Sadly, this is all riveted, so you can't actually take it out to install your AIO in and then put it all back in. But then, again, I think being that it's retro inspired, you would kind of expect some of that anyway. On the back, usual sort of thing, obviously, because this isn't retro. If it was retro, your power supply would be at the top. This would be shoved down a little bit, and your PCI Expresses would be down at the bottom. Obviously, modern PC. So now we've got the power supply in the bottom. Then we've got our section here for mounting in your graphics card. And also, quite a neat trick they've done with this. We'll just remove the glass off the side. If for some reason you're feeling a little bit special and want to install a vertical mounted GPU, sorry, I'm getting my chair. So if you want to put a vertical mounted GPU in this sucker, you can undo these 4 screws. Now apparently this actual thing, or this design, has actually been patented by Thermaltake. So take your 4 screws out, then you can remove your entire rear bracket. So all of the expansion brackets, they're all removable, so you can take them all out whenever you want to. But what it means you can do is you can rotate it 90 degrees and put it back in, put your screws back in, and suddenly you've got a vertical GPU mount solution. So again, it is very much trying to kind of meld the modern and the retro, but with a more modern take. And actually, the more I look at the colour of this, even though it's supposed to be beige, it almost feels like it's got a little bit of green in it as well. I don't know if that's coming across on the camera, but to the naked eye, it's less of a beige and it's more of a, I don't know, did they call it khaki? You used to get your Gap trousers in khaki, which were kind of like a beigey colour, but they also had a hint of green to them. I'm sure, is it my eyes, or is there a hint of green to that colour?
It does kind of.
It's more into the green.
Very, very pale.
Yeah, it's extremely pale, but there
like
is.
Dulux paint, a hint of.
Yeah. This,
hint of khaki.
Yeah, a hint of khaki, this would be called, I think. I'm trying to really find something else which is a similar colour. Because it's not really that sort of beige PC colour. The beige PC colour is definitely a little bit browner, whereas this is definitely more into the green, or maybe even a little tiny hint of blue. Anyway, regardless.
Reflections from all the lights going on around you.
It could be, it could be. Now there is a panel here which has a screw, so I'm assuming that this panel is removable, but it doesn't appear that it is, unless there is a screw somewhere else which I cannot see. But it looks like that is screwed in from... Yeah, there's an unusual part of this case, because looking on the front side, or the side, whichever way you're looking at, this bit here, behind it, there is a cutout there, where you could have put the 3-inch Thermaltake display. And actually, let me take that front panel off again. Is there a screw there? No, there isn't. I thought there might be, because there's definitely a screw that end. I really want to take that panel off and have a look behind it. Hey? I reckon. Yeah, you can. Yeah, those holes there and there, are the holes which mount, I'm pretty sure, the LCD panel kit in there. But they don't actually make any reference to it or show it in any way on any of the footage or the kind of the documentation. Anyway, while we got it down on its side, let's have a little look. See, so again, we've got a color-coded mesh filter. I don't like these filters. Really, for the sort of money this case is going for, this should have been a proper nylon mesh rather than holes on holes. Because the trouble is with this, and I've said it before, when you've got these bits here, like this is circular holes, which is fine, but if you put circular holes over the top of more circular holes, you basically reduce your airflow to about, well, I wouldn't want to say a percentage, but I would guess it's somewhere in the region of about 30 to 40%. Whereas with that removed, you're at somewhere nearing kind of probably 60%. So that in itself is a little bit restrictive because it's round rather than hexagonal. But because, again, it is round, you could probably get away with not having this anyway. And you'll find out more why I'm saying this later, because you can actually mount fans above this to pull in air, but you probably wouldn't want to on there. Again, you can see there are those little sections there, which for anyone who's done this before, or built a case before, built a PC, you know that those bits are for drive mounts, and those holes there, and there, they would be used to actually keep the drive cages in place. And also as well, there's this weird hole here, which I don't know what that hole is for. If you've got any idea what that hole is actually for, please let me know. Because I have got no idea. It doesn't actually make any sense why that is there at all. I'm guessing it's from another design case, but I still don't know what that would be for, or what you could use that for. It's not as if there's much height there to actually pass much through there. But it's obviously intentional, and there's nothing through there. Oh shit, there's nothing through there, got my finger stuck. There isn't anything in there that you could actually attach anything to. My guess is, I'm not sure if anyone said this in the chat yet, but I'm pretty sure that whatever design this bottom section was for, case-wise, if you had the LCD screen in there, you would then take the USB cable out through here, run it along the bottom, and then up and plug it into the USBs at the back, possibly. That just came to my mind, so that could be complete bullshit. You get the general idea. So that is the bottom section. Again, if you know what that little hole's for there, do let me know, because it's blocked off when the filter's there. So it's not really of much use to man or beast. Hey Netritz, how you doing? Good to see you. So I'm just looking at the chat now, I can see you all now. Just reading Arale's comment there. David Under says, looks like a typical Thermaltake case, bloody complex and useless. God bless you. Don't hold back. It is very much a thing. Most modern cases are extremely complex. And most modern cases try to cater to too many people's personal like wants or needs. Anyway. Dutch Jan says, Mike, on the colour they indicate on the website is Snow White. But it's definitely not Snow White. Not even in the same thing. Rick H says, I always mount my PS facing up. I generally tend to, where possible. Riley says, if somebody wants just a bit of khaki colour, no need to spend money on retro-inspired style PC. Just buy the game Directive 8020 and the jump scares will help you with getting some khaki. Yeah, you will shit your pants. Right, let's have a look inside. And so, that section there, you can put your fans in. There is also, as well, a removable thing here. I'll get my screwdriver to fit. And there is actually a panel which you can pull out for some reason. But I don't really know what you would pull that panel out for. what benefits it would serve. Maybe for cabling, possibly. Oh, come on. There we go. So you've got this little panel. So I'm guessing possibly you might be able to get a 360mm rad in there, but I haven't tried it. And they don't say that it will physically fit. But as you can see, there is a little bit of a drop off there. So yeah, I don't know. It looks like it might go. Would you like me to see if a 360mm radiator would physically fit there? Let me know in the chat. Because it is recessed enough so that even if you had fans and a radiator, it would still stick up a little bit further than where your graphics card is going to come out by a little bit. But I'm guessing that is why they've said you can't put a 360 there, because if you've got your motherboard there, graphics card coming out to here, it may obstruct. But let me know in the chat, what do you think? Should I try a 360 in there? See if it will physically fit. Be a thin rad to fit in there, says Safi. How you doing, Safi? Alpha Indigo says it's a mirror, so the other useless hole in the bottom. Viali says it looks like a Thermaltake generic case with the crap front panel. Okay, fair enough. Dutch Jan says radiator support top. Side, oh, it does say side 360. Alright, okay, so yeah, you can put a 360 in the side there. I'm sure it didn't say that on the box. And when I looked on the site earlier. Let me just double check on the box a minute. Let's see if it was just me reading things badly. Radiator support, so motherboard side. Yeah, no, 360. Yeah, 360, 240, 120 on the side. So yeah, I apparently read the description wrong and got it wrong in the review, although I did hint that maybe that is possible. So yeah, I'll just have to wing it. I'll have to put up with people saying things to me in the comments section, saying, Mike, of course it can fit in there, you dipshit. Anyway, it's all good. So, oh, while I'm screwing this back in, I should mention a little bit of an update from last week, I think. Was it last week we built the PC in the Micro ATX case? Was that last week or was that the week before? I can't remember if it was or not. I'm not sure. But yeah, basically, actually, let me turn the other light on a minute, because this lighting isn't very good at the moment. Flashbang. It's funny, actually, my studio lights actually do make the flashbang noise when I turn them on. It's cool. Yeah, hopefully now you can possibly see the colour maybe a little bit better. It's definitely got like a sort of a very pale olivey sort of green to it. Let's grab some props a minute. Now it's retro. Oh, why didn't I do that for the thumbnail? That'd have been brilliant. Look it, Kath. It's got your things in there.
Like beige.
Huh?
Okay, beige.
It's like mocha. It's like a very milky mocha. Mocha chocolate glory. Yeah, it's definitely got a more greeny texture to it now. Which I think is actually better than it being beige. Struth's getting on here. Yeah, so there you go. That is the kind of the general lay of the land with this. I think I've showed you everything now. So yeah, you can make your own decisions up, whether you think it's cool or not. Put my action figures back up there. They're not action figures, obviously. Who closed the bathroom door? Must be getting windy out. Because there ain't no one home. Okay. David says genuine IBM PC cases often had a slight green tinge to them. Vianney says not cool, overpriced. Okay. Ordinary Dude says the Thermaltake TR200 is a more interesting case. I agree with that. Sarah says you'd have to dub the video. Yeah, I haven't actually done it yet, so I will do what I normally do, and as I will put text on the page so that regardless of what I'm saying, people will see what they want to see. That's the beauty of video editing. You can put things on the screen in big letters, and regardless of what you say, they'll read the letters. That's worked for me. That's worked for me a few times. Sarah says, "How much is this case?" It is £80 UK at the moment from scan.co.uk. It is £79.99. I think for £79.99, Maisie, what are you doing? Don't you dare! If she pees on my shit again, I will be pissed. Maisie.
She wants to just put her in her bed.
She wants to go to her bed, yeah. Yeah, I think for £80, considering the quality of the case, because it isn't cheap metal, and also the machining, the options, the fans and stuff, the configuration you can put in there, I don't think it's necessarily too expensive. However, I would say that if you're not 100% convinced on retro, then there are a lot of other cases from Thermaltake as well that I would argue are probably better equipped for modern hardware for that sort of money. Things like the View 380, View 380 XL, those are both really good cases. And of course, like if you're building a modern style PC, there's thousands of choices. You've got stuff from Montech, got stuff from Lianli, like the 207, the 217, the 206, the 216, the Vision, the 011, Evos, etc. There's thousands of choices available. So yeah, it's not necessarily a like, oh, it's £80, everybody should get this case because it's got such great features, etc, etc. It's not. It's the kind of thing that if you're looking for a retro inspired PC case, then at present, as far as I know, this is the cheapest that you can get a retro inspired PC case. There are ones from Silverstone. I can't think of the model off the top of my head, but that one is a genuine retro inspired PC case, which you can put 5¼ inch drives in, you can put 3.5 inch drives in. Those options are available to you, but that case is kind of £200 plus. So you are spending an awful lot of more money to get that full kind of retro experience, which you don't really. If you just want to use a CD-ROM drive and maybe a floppy drive, you can pick up a cheap case from the likes of CIT or something for like 20-30 quid, if you really want to use those types of things. But yeah, I don't know. It's a really weird one to come out, and yeah, it's. I think if you do really like the look of that front panel, then you can justify the price. Semarab says, question: How will be how difficult it is sourcing appropriate coloured motherboard, fans, etc. compared to normal PC build? Yeah, that is the thing. David Andrew says the Thermaltake Black Versa H25 mid-tower chassis has real 5¼ raise and only $64. Ordinary Dude says get a real retro case from eBay for cheap. Again, that is kind of where what I said at the very beginning, that this isn't a retro PC, and it's not designed for making a retro PC. This is designed to build a modern high performance gaming computer with all the kind of usual mod cons like radiators, loads of fans, RGB lighting, etc. But also have a little bit of a nod towards that retro vibe. And again, it's one of those things that, yeah, if you want a retro case, get a retro case, but it's going to absolutely suck for any type of water cooling or just cooling in general. Like, I remember when I was at M Squared, we were selling, I wouldn't say they're necessarily retro cases, but we were selling then, this would have been around about 99, 2000 era, and we were selling desktop PCs. Silver cases hadn't quite come out at that point, so everything was still beige. Occasionally there would be a black case, but it was a very, very rare experience. Generally they were all beige boxes. Some of them had a few splashes of colour or slightly different designs, but essentially they were beige. And from memory, I think they had an 80mm fan on the front, which had the sort of like just very small punch outs, so it only maybe you had about 50% of the airflow. And on the back of the case, I don't think it had any airflow at all, other than the exhaust for the power supply. So it was like one fan in on the front, one fan in on the back, and that was it. The top was solid, the sides were solid, the bottom was solid. It was basically an airflow disaster. And it wasn't until, I think, the Pentiums came out, the Pentium 4, where some of the new case designs actually had like the side panel and added like a cutout here. Sometimes they had even add a funnel, like a chimney, so it could pull fresh air directly into the CPU cooler. Or sometimes they just had like a kind of a rounded bunch of dots on the side to let a little bit of extra airflow in, because that was the time that we really got to the point that PCs did need additional cooling. Like the Pentium 4s, they just ran super, super hot in compared with what we had before, like Slot 1, Socket S370, even before that, like the K6-2s, that sort of stuff. Yeah, we didn't really need cooling, and even CPU coolers were generally just running flat out all the time, connected up to like Molex connectors. There was very few motherboards, in fact, that actually had a fan header on the motherboard. That was quite a relatively modern introduction. Previous to that, all your case fans would have been on a Molex connector, and that was kind of it. Sometimes you'd have like a speed control dial on your case, or maybe like Antec were one of the ones which come out with like a low, medium and high setting on the fan, which you could set, but it was like a set and forget. That was how it was going to be. So static speed fans, PC cooling was very much in its infancy in the end of the 90s and into the early 2000s, up to around about 2002, 2003. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that thought. Yeah, essentially what I'm trying to say is this case isn't trying to be a retro PC. It's not for building a retro PC inside of it. It's basically designed for running a modern, typical, high-performance, modern gaming PC rig, but with a nod in the direction of retro PC. Which I think it does a good job. In that respect, it does everything it needs to do. Like I say, like a modern PC isn't going to take a floppy drive. A modern PC probably isn't going to take a DVD-ROM drive. There are some that do, but when that happens, you do then lose the flexibility of obviously like radiators and stuff in the top, which is part and parcel of modern computing for a lot of people, or at least the option of doing it. Anyway, I think I've made my point, and I've definitely taken your point on board that it isn't for a lot of you. A lot of you either don't like it or just don't see the point. And I've got to be honest with you, when I started to initially look at this case, when they contacted me and said, Mike, do you want to take a look at the Retro 360? I'm like, I don't know, do I? I don't see the point. But now I've actually spent a little bit of time with it, I actually get what they're trying to do now. Whereas previously, I was thinking to myself more in the mindset of, this is for making retro PCs. But it's not. It's completely isn't. It's as far away from that as you could possibly imagine. Like, essentially, what is in the PC behind me, within reason, can all fit in here.
But why wouldn't you want it in that case if you could have it in a different case.
Well, that's the thing. Some people, like, why would you want a PC which is inverted? Why would you want a PC with, I don't know, an unusual look to it? Why would you want a hexagon shape or a pyramid shape or whatever? It's
unusual.
It's unusual. It's different. And it's different, but it's also harking back to a time which I think a lot of us probably would have wished we could go back to. Like, wouldn't it be great if we could go back to the early 90s now? Knowing what we know now. If we went back to the early 90s, imagine how much change and difference we could possibly make on the world and things we would do differently. I definitely wouldn't have bought those two RX 6500 XTs. That was definitely a mistake, and I definitely wouldn't have bought that GT 1030.
Would you carry on buying CD games?
Would I have bought CD games? No, probably not.
You haven't learnt your lesson then, have you?
Yeah. Actually, saying that, buying games. I'm going to pack this away, and while I do that, let's discuss buying games. Because at the moment, I am seriously considering buying games, even though it goes against the very heart of what I think is right and wrong. Because there are two games which have just come out very recently, one of which is Forza 6, and the other one is the new James Bond First Light. I think it's called First Light. Maisie, sit in your box. In the box.
Basket.
Put the cat in the basket, or she gets the hose again.
Come on.
So yeah, I know some of you have bought Forza, and I know some of you, Shaky specifically, has bought the 007 game. And I haven't asked what the experience is like. So I'm, yeah, Maisie, get in the beige box. It's your new home.
Even she didn't want to go near it.
Yeah, she don't like it either. Whew. Can you open that window again? Sorry, I'm getting a bit hot over here.
Can't a minute, I'll just do this.
25 degrees and 51% humidity, but it feels like it's a lot more. So yeah, has anybody bought the new James Bond title? And also as well, I should say, I'm not sure if I got it on here, if you do wish to purchase any games, before you purchase any games, there is a link in the chat there. We are actually an affiliate of loaded.com, where you can pick up games for your consoles, your computers, and all sorts of other things as well, should you wish to. And we will generate a very small income from the purchase of said games and packages. And also, loaded.com, from what I can tell, have been some of the cheapest, if not the cheapest, titles that are legit. Rather than buying from some sites, which I have looked at over the last few days, and they have some ridiculous prices, and I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, well, how can they afford to do that? And the truth is, they can't. So it's all a little bit of a scam. So don't get caught out. Get your softwares from loaded.com and help support the channel, and also save yourself a bunch. I did notice that Forza 6, I believe it was somewhere in the region of like £60 on Steam, but from Loaded it was somewhere around the £36 mark. So that is a significant chunk of change. So again, if you do want to purchase any games, loaded.com is a very good place to do it. And all of their sales are secure, and they take various forms of payment, including credit cards, debit cards, PayPal, Bitcoin, etc.
Forza is like the rest of the series.
Right, that narrows it down.
The back right, for any
Right, let's kill that light because I don't need to be flashbanged by that anymore. Maisie, do you want to sleep on the box?
I'll sleep on there, mates.
Whew, Struth. It's another muggy one tonight. Or was it just me being a sweaty old geezer? There is a payment come through, a donation from our good pal, Raleigh. Raleigh has sent us a very generous £50. Thank you so much. That is massively appreciated. And, oh, I can't read the thing because I'm in the bloody wrong thing. Where is the notification? I want to read it again. Kath's going to have to get up on her phone. It was something about buying a game. Can you see it on yours? Thank you, Raleigh. You're a lovely man. Even though you are 50% AI, 50% human. So, yeah, donated £50. Thank you so much. I forgot to use the loaded.com affiliate code when I made my Forza Horizon 6 purchase. From Raleigh, your friendly AI. Thank you so much. It is massively appreciated. That is very, very generous of you. Kath says thank you as well.
Thank you.
See, told you. Going back to that, so Dutch Jan, I will read these comments out even if they are not complimentary, because I value your input as much as I value getting things from suppliers. So Dutch Jan says, Mike, my biggest issue with this case is that it just looks fake. They really should have made the front panel look more authentic. That's fair enough. And I will try and pass on your feedback. Any of the things that you've said, criticisms or even praise, I will pass back to them and let them know what your thoughts are. There is actually a micro ATX version as well called the Retro 260, which, yeah, more of the same, but for a smaller case. And I think the micro ATX version actually would make more sense, because that would be quite cool to have like a micro ATX setup with like maybe like a Ryzen APU in there, just for like almost like a stealthy gaming PC. I don't know, I'm not sure. Anyway. David Underhill says humidity 94%. Jesus. 94% humidity. That's bad, isn't it? That's basically like you're breathing rain. Am I right saying that? And it feels like 3 degrees. Oh, sorry, it is 3.2 degrees, but it feels like 1.6. Of course, Australian winter, isn't it? That sucks. At least when the weather does change, it gets very nice. Bob from Wick says if the openings were real, it would be totally realistic and possibly functional. Cool. Model Citizen says there, Kath said it earlier, but I'll repeat it. James Bond has minimal gameplay, like an interactive movie. Forza is like the rest of the series. See, that is what I was kind of thinking was going to be the case. I did see a couple of reviewers. See, when a game comes out and it gets very good scores from reviewers, that always worries me. Because if they're all saying the same thing, it's unlikely that that's going to happen. There's always going to be a couple of outliers which will go against the grain. But it seemed like everybody was universally praising the game, which just seems really unusual.
It seems to be advertised everywhere.
Yeah.
As if they need people to be buying
It's
it.
massively, massively advertised. And I think for people in the UK especially, the UK culture, like James Bond 007, is kind of interwoven throughout our history. And it's part of the British thing. James Bond is kind of embodies that typical British secret agent type vibe, and it has done for so many years. And yeah, it's just a shame. Like, I enjoy playing games mostly, but there's some games where there are cutscenes or sections which are kind of like on rails that you've got no choice to do. Now, in some respects, I like that. If it's like a racing game, I like it to be on rails because you know where you're going. It's a straight on race. You know what to do. But when it's like that sort of game where it's more open worldy, a bit stealthy, all that kind of stuff, it's nice to go around and explore and do things differently. Or like in the case of, I think I read that when you're driving the car, the car kind of drives itself and you're just shooting, or the car just does its own path, so you don't even have to do anything, just like press forward and it will just keep itself on the road. That, I think, is one of those things which, I don't know, even since the games like Far Cry 3, where I think that was the first of the maybe Far Cry 2. I don't think Far Cry 1 let you drive vehicles. Maybe it did. Let me know. Did Far Cry 1 let you drive vehicles? It's been so long since I've played it. But Far Cry 3 was the first one which I remember actually like doing an open worldy type thing and getting into a vehicle and basically driving it however I wanted to, wherever I wanted to. And it seemed very cool. And it also meant that you could either you could drive the vehicle and you could shoot at the same time. So it was you. You were in control of your destiny. Whether you were good or bad or indifferent, you were in control of your destiny. Whereas if a game is more kind of linear, it takes some of that away. And especially if it's like too cinematic and there's too many cutscenes. I struggled with RoboCop. I really, really loved the RoboCop franchise and I really, really loved the game. But it just got to the point where there was so much dialogue, and yeah, it was basically like you were not so much playing a game, but you were interacting with a movie. But it was a heavily scripted movie and you didn't really have a lot of choice what you could do. So I fear that is going to be the problem. Des says, next time we'll use your link to Loaded. Thank you very much. There is a game. If you want to use Loaded at any time and you want to help out Kath and Mike here, then... Oh, talked about myself in the third person. That was weird. If you want to help us out, you can go to our Discord. Our affiliate links are in the affiliate links room. So you can just go there, click on the link, then shop as normal. Buy whatever you want, wherever you want. And hopefully we might get a little smidgen of it. Better it goes to us than be wasted. See what people are saying there. AI Reviews says Netrits, you never know, possibly. Des says I got 007 from Green Man Gaming, okay. Semrab says love 007 on Xbox, where it was 2-player, but get frustrated following story games. Yeah. Ordinary Dude says 90 plus is normal in the deep south swamps. I'm not good with humidity. Probably would be if I got used to it. John David Sullivan says, I'm not sure about it. I did buy Forza, but I haven't played it yet. I might play tomorrow. Alpha Indigo says, Amazon now own the rights for a reboot. Sigh. I'm not entirely sure if Amazon owning the rights to James Bond 007 is actually a bad thing. Because Amazon have done some pretty decent stuff over the last few years, for Amazon Studios at least anyway. There's been some really good things, such as obviously like The Boys, which is just finished, the Reacher series, they've all been very good. There's been many other Amazon Studio productions which have done very, very well and have turned out like pretty great. I don't think off the top of my head I can think of one which hasn't been relatively universally praised. Let me know in the comments. Do you know of any Amazon Studios programs or films that have been like awful? I think most of them have been pretty good. Even actually the recent one with Christopher Pratt, or Chris Pratt, what was his name? Is it Chris Pratt? And Rebecca Ferguson, is it? The AI law thing. I thought that was great. I really enjoyed it. But anyway, let me know what you think. I think it's potentially pretty good. And Reacher was great. If you think if they've got the rights to Reacher, or they've done Reacher, like Reacher to 007 isn't like a huge jump really. If you think, and if you go back to the original literature, like there's a lot of similarities there. Obviously Reacher's physique is one of the things in there, but I think they've got the potential to make good on it. Hopefully they don't get bombarded by the kind of wokerati and ruin it, but I don't think they will. At least I hope they won't. Thank you very much for the super chat from our good pal Netritz. Thank you, Netritz, for your €10. Muchas gracias, señor por favor, as they say. Much appreciated. Thank you. And Netritz is also a member as well, I believe. God bless you. Dave Aitken says, I loved it. What was that? What did you love? Oh yeah, the boys went downhill fast. I don't know. I think the boys, I think, ended up pretty well. I was quite satisfied with the ending. I'm not going to talk about the ending.
Through things, mind.
I do fast forward through things, to be fair.
Sorry, Riley, I didn't thank you.
Doman says, no real need for floppy drives. Oh yeah, let's go back to the case. Okay, fair enough. I guess Amazon are good at large explosions. That's true. And actually, like, if you think about it, Top Gear, when it was on the BBC, pretty awesome. I think most people would agree. And it went on for years and years. And when it became the Grand Tour on Amazon, the Grand Tour, as it started out initially, was a little bit on sort of rocky grounds. It was still good. It was still enjoyable, but it wasn't Top Gear. But I think as it went on and they got into their stride and they worked out what they could and couldn't do, in my opinion, I think the Grand Tour ended up being significantly better than Top Gear was. Which may be a controversial statement.
All that rubbish studio chat.
Yeah. When they got rid of the studio-based stuff on the Grand Tour, that is when it improved. When they put their money into doing like the special journeys and stuff, it was just, it became a better show, I feel personally. But it did move away from being a kind of car review channel or program to being basically just like three elderly guys pissing around in cars and having a laugh, which actually I think was more enjoyable to watch. Anyway.
Dave Aiken keeps saying Rings of Power.
Rings of Power. I've not watched any of the Rings of Power or any of that stuff. I haven't watched Game of Thrones. I haven't watched Lord of the Rings or any of that stuff.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean. I haven't watched that. There's loads of stuff that I haven't watched.
Potter.
Harry Potter I've watched little bits of, but kids, what can I say?
Nothing. We never really watch anything.
Yeah, we didn't watch a lot, really.
If it's got loads of big reviews, we don't really tend to like it for some reason.
Rick says, I read somewhere that the next James Bond movie lead would be a woman. I'm pretty sure that has actually been debunked. It was passed around the idea for a long, long time. I think that came because of the last one, No Time to Die or whatever it was. That because they had the kind of like the other 007 who took over from James Bond,
Jenny Bond,
who was a woman. I think a lot of it spawned from that they thought, oh, because they've done it for that bit, that they could continue. But I think the production team and also the Broccolis as well, when they passed over the rights, I'm pretty sure they stated that no. And a lot of people as well have said, like, especially actors who've been in the frame for doing the job, have said that they don't think that James Bond or 007 should be a woman. Because obviously if you're trying to create a movie or something based on a franchise which has its deep roots for the last, 60, 70 years from the early Fleming books of being a specific type of character, like, do you really want to change that? I know some people do, but I think we've...
Doctor Who?
Yeah, Doctor Who, for example. Like, that's a prime example, Amazon prime example, of how to ruin a franchise. Like, Doctor Who, it's, for many, many years, again, probably a similar sort of length of time, like 40, 50 years or whatever, has been a male character. Now, there's no reason why Doctor Who can't be a woman, but it's one of those things that if you put a female into a male-dominated role, or a known role, there's going to be a backlash, obviously, because a lot of people are like really, 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 really into these programs and games and films and whatever. So if you actually do that, clearly there's going to be a backlash, especially if you're doing it in a time where it's kind of seen as being the right thing to do, where you're just doing it to kind of tick a box rather than actually doing it for a specific reason. There's another donation. Thank you massively, Mark Gaines. £50 there. Is there a message on there? I can't see. My eyes. Terrible. Not my eyes, just the phone's miles away. Even Otis says thank you.
That's candy, isn't it?
Here's a few quid for the channel. Yes, you could drive vehicles in Far Cry 1. See, there we go. A donation and also an answer to a question.
Making you right, expect.
What a top bloke. Thank you very much, Mark.
Hey,
So yes, you could drive vehicles in Far Cry 1. I didn't play a lot of Far Cry 1, to be honest with you. I was not very into Far Cry at all, weirdly. But Far Cry 3 I spent absolutely forever playing. That was the first of the Far Cry titles, which is like, this has got me properly hooked. Far Cry 3 was an amazing game. Viali says, I like the Wheel of Time, but it was changed too much from the books, made too woke. It's just a thing, innit? There's always been that kind of movement to try and do that stuff. And, like, I agree that people should have equal opportunities and all that kind of stuff, and men and women should be treated equally, even though obviously we're not physically, mentally, biologically, we're not the same. We are similar, but we have our strengths and we also have our weaknesses, which is a nature thing. We haven't got any control over it. So, yeah, that's my opinion on it. Your opinion may differ. That's entirely up to you. It is purely an opinion. And like most things, everyone's different. But yeah, I do genuinely believe that, like, if you had a character, say for instance for like this He-Man movie which is about to come out, like, would you cast a woman as He-Man? It seems unlikely. But it seems like the kind of thing that somebody somewhere has possibly suggested just because of that movement to make it so that, like, even though it doesn't have to be a man or it doesn't have to be a woman or whatever in the role, like Mary Poppins, what would you cast, like, a modern male dancer as, like, Marcel whatever, what's her name? Poppins. Marcel Poppins now. Or Mark Poppins. Like, I don't know, it just seems really weird. Maybe it's me, maybe it's my age, but just there's some things which are kind of ingrained and they are what they are. Like, what you wouldn't really have Harriet Potter. Now you possibly could do if you started off the story with Harriet Potter being Harriet, a girl, and going through the series, but now that it's established that Harry Potter is Harry, the boy, like, changing it now would seem like a really forced move and would upset people. And I think that's the problem. It's not that people are against, like, different sexes doing different roles. I think that's absolutely fine. But if there is, like, a character which has, like, a history, either a cinematic one or in illustration or books, whatever it is, if there is a precedent, like, why break it? Why change it? Unless it actually makes sense. I think it doesn't. Let's have a look, see what you lot are saying. Andrew Tim says, I really dislike James Bond. He's a misogynist. The thing is, James Bond, again, because of how different things were when the James Bond character was created, the world has changed massively. And I think as we went through the 80s and into the 90s, I think it became more misogynist, but also at the same time a caricature of itself. And it didn't really take itself too seriously. It almost became like James Bond was almost like Benny Hill, or Carry On film. There was a lot of humour in it. And it wasn't until Timothy Dalton got the role where it became a lot more gritty, and a lot of the misogyny kind of disappeared. And also, I'd argue with Daniel Craig as well. There's a lot of misogyny which has been removed from his role in it as well. Possibly Piers Morgan maybe increased it a little bit. Went back more to the kind of Roger Moore era. But anyway, whatever. It's a... sorry?
Piers Morgan?
Not Piers Morgan.
Did you say Piers Morgan? I'm sure you did.
Piers Brosnan.
I was going to say, I can't remember.
Dave Aikens says, should never be a female Bond. Should just be a female character in that world if they want to. It could be Moneypenny or M series and it would be fine. Yeah, exactly. I think that's right. Ordinary Dude says, Amazon can create decent originals, but they typically ruin franchises they get the rights to. Amazon did wonders for Warhammer, says Alpha Indigo. Just look at Ghostbusters. Yeah, that's true. John David Sullivan says, I didn't like Far Cry 2, the rest are good. I didn't like Far Cry 2. David Underhill says, give me a vodka martini, shaken, not stirred. F it, put it in a blender. Bob from Wick says, equal but different. Vive la différence.
Did we find out if that was
I agree.
Wick in Bristol?
Yeah, Bob from Wick in Bristol. It is Wick in Bristol, isn't it?
Is it?
She-Ra. Yeah, that's true, yeah. If only there was the character She-Ra and is the sister to He-Man. James Pond was a frog. He was.
He's a fish, wasn't he?
No, I don't know. Was he James Pond? Was he a frog or a fish? I thought he might be a fish, actually.
I didn't understand. Is that the one we played and you just swam around and did nothing?
Yeah.
On the Master Drive. What was it called? Master System.
Yeah.
Echo the Dolphin was the same sort of thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You just drove this dolphin around doing nothing. I'm sure there's more to it, but we didn't figure it out.
Marbury says, definitely not your age, Mike. Some of the stuff they put out now is just nonsense. Yeah, some of it really is. Oh, did I say Piers Morgan? Sorry, I meant to say, yeah, I meant to say Piers Brosnan, obviously, sorry. Yeah, imagine Piers Morgan as 007. That'd be hilarious. he's a total... I'm not sure. Bond can be an Australian, says Firephone. It's not a bad idea. Rasher has come in with 20 euros. Thank you very much, Rasher. You extremely generous, lovely man. Much appreciated. There's no message there, so... Normally we get a Rasher dad joke this time of night, but not tonight. Maybe later. NetRich says, I thought James Bond died. No, actually, that is something like Daniel Craig, I would argue, is possibly the best Bond in terms of staying to the budgie smuggler scene come out of the sea. That basically took it from me. That was good, but
really?
Great. Anyway, moving on from that. Sorry, got us a sidetrack there. I would argue Daniel Craig was possibly the best Bond actor of the lot. Also, I would say Timothy Dalton possibly comes up at a close second. I thought he was very good. Very true to the original Fleming works. But I think Daniel Craig did a bad thing for the entire 007 kind of ecosystem, because he requested that he would only do the last movie if they allowed him to die. And I think that has brought to the franchise so much uncertainty, and also, like, we've never known James Bond die. He's supposed to be this super spy who always gets out of everything, but for some reason didn't. So, although I would argue he was the best actor, I think he's actually failed the franchise in a massive way.
Does he still deliver milk tray?
He still delivers milk tray. Yes.
Ratcher put what he should have put in the super.
Ah, Rasher has put in his question, his thing. Where is it? Rasher, I can't see. Where did he put it?
10:15.
10:15. Oh yeah, there we go. Tried to send this in the super chat. Don't know what happened. Just seen Elvis in B&Q. Return to Sander.
I didn't get it.
Oh dear, that's good. That's good.
I got it now.
Mark Berry says James Bond experts reckon that Timothy Dalton was the nearest Bond to the books. Yeah, I would agree to that. Timothy Dalton, he came into it at a very awkward time because the franchise, I think, had just been offered to Pierce Brosnan, but he wasn't available to do it. He wasn't really wanted to do it by the Broccolis, Barbara Broccoli it would have been by then. And yeah, it was very much kind of argumentative. They'd also lost a lot of the money because of late starting filming, and also filming in, I think they filmed a lot of it in Mexico. So very hot, very long hours. Everyone was like basically at their wits' end filming the, would it have been the Living Daylights, or was it the other one? Can't remember. Yeah, it would have been the Living Daylights. No, not Living Daylights. Can't remember which one it is. I think it was Living Daylights. Anyway, whichever it was, yeah, they, it was a huge amount of money. And was it the Living Daylights? I can't remember which one it was now. It was the one where they were in, there was like this crazy weird temple, but they were doing like making drugs or something, and something to do with a shark. Anyway, I can't remember. But yeah, it was good. Ah, that's it, yeah. Brosnan helps do Bond, but Remington Steele was taken up for another season. He was contracted to do Remington Steele. No. License to Kill. Thank you. License to Kill. That is what I was thinking of.
Oh, Rick H. I even stick my toes on the... What was that board at the bottom of the floor called? So I can get even closer.
Oh, yeah.
Rick H.
Where... I don't... What time is that? I can't see.
10:18.
Oh, Rick H. Yeah, question. Why are women's feet smaller than men's? So the dishwasher can get closer to the sink. Boom.
But I put even my toes
I was watching
into
this
these
earlier
boards.
today, actually. Kath was doing the washing up in the sink, and she actually had her big toe bent up against the baseboards
I
of the
would
sink,
do it. My brother,
just so you can get a little bit closer to
my
the sink.
brother used to make fun of me doing it.
Don't think I've ever done that.
Have you ever seen me do it before? I always do it.
Dutch Jan says Roger Moore and Sean Connery were the best Bonds. Sean Connery was quite good, I think. I didn't really like his Bond much, but I don't think I liked that era of Bond particularly. Maybe it's because I was a bit too young back then. Alpha Indigo, James Bond says it's an institution. It needed to end well, and although sad, I think it worked. But did it need to end? I don't think it needed to end necessarily. His tenure as Bond did, but then that was always the thing of like the Albert and obviously Barbara Broccoli. At the end of the James Bond film, after the credits, it was always James Bond will return. And sometimes they'd even say the name of the next film. Living Daylights is the double bass movie. Ah, yes. Yeah, Living Daylights and the other one, I can't think what they just said, License to Kill. Brilliant. I like them. I like them a lot. I didn't like them initially when they came out, but as I've gone back and rewatched them, I found those to be really good. Rasher says, Craig as Bond was gritty AF. That time he had his balls whacked with a knotted rope. Oof. Yeah. It was very strange, wasn't it? It's not what we were used to seeing. How about a female Indiana Jones, says Netritz. I'm not too sure if that would work. It kind of would. There's no real reason why it shouldn't, in theory. Yeah, they should change Lara Croft to being Len Croft and chuck in like Alan Richardson from Reacher. Now him is the new Tomb Raider.
Massive wang.
It was massive wang hanging out. Using it as...
His short leg.
It's all gone downhill, isn't it?
That's my input, sorry.
GoldenEye was good. Famika Jensen was hot. Yeah, female Indiana Jones is just Lara Croft. Yeah, exact. It is really, isn't it? So, just saying, Viali's just picked up Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit 4K box sets for 50 quid. So let's go back to what we were talking about earlier, about everything being kind of rent to own. So I think we've probably, well, most of us now have probably got to the age of you've been at some point, you've been into a certain format of media, whether it be cassette tapes, records, LPs, singles, CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays, laser discs, whatever it might be, whatever your choice of media format was. I've been through this process quite a few times with various different formats now, and like it started off back in the 90s with a VHS collection, which like had a nice rack in the room with all the videos all nicely laid out, and we would actually genuinely watch some of them every now and then. So they were useful. Obviously then, as VHS became more obscure or less good quality, we would then go over and then collect DVDs, like DVD movies, and then of course...
I didn't really bother after, really. Most of the DVDs were yours.
Yeah, that was the thing. When VHS become defunct, it was almost like, well, like why bother buying movies again on a different format? Just because it's on a different format when you've already got the movie. And again, the same thing happened with Blu-ray to some extent. Like if you've watched a movie, yeah, you may have watched like Star Wars in the cinema in the late 70s, early 80s or 90s, whatever. Then you've bought it on VHS, then you may have bought it on DVD, and then finally it's on Blu-ray and whatever. But you get to a point where you realise that whatever it is you're buying or investing into, after what seems to be a relatively short period of time, the format that you're buying it on becomes extinct or not commonly available or usable. Obviously, if you go by what's happened to Blockbuster Video, that is a prime example of how a type of media can come and go relatively quickly, like 20 years or so. It can go from being the most popular thing on the market to being completely extinct almost. And it leads me to think, again, going back to what we said about buying games, like I've bought loads of games over the years. There's a bunch of original floppy disks and DVDs and CDs and stuff in a box under the bed. And a lot of those games I can't play because they are designed to work on... Yeah, because I don't want to break the bed. But I can't play them realistically on my modern PC. So if I wanted to actually enjoy them as they were intended to be played, I would need to either build a retro PC or do some form of emulation. Now, if you're going to be doing some form of emulation, you then get into the whole kind of, well, I own the media, I've purchased the game, so I can rip the game to a ROM file or an ISO file or whatever it is. When you get into like a bit of a grey area. And it makes me wonder, because I'm sure there's games and also films and things that I've bought on various different types of streaming platforms which I maybe don't use anymore, or ones which have fallen out of favour. So obviously at the moment you've got like Steam, you've got Epic, you've got EA Games, you've got Ubisoft, and there's probably countless others which I haven't included. Those are just ones I can think of off the top of my head. There's more than that. But there's a lot of games which I bought, especially like things on EA, like Theme Hospital and Need for Speed franchise games and stuff. And it just, I don't know, it really bothers me, the fact that you've got to have all of your media and stuff split up on different devices. So in some terms, or some ways of thinking, actually having everything unified into one place and paying a subscription for it does feel both wrong, but also appealing at the same time. And I really struggle with that whole mentality. Now, I've got an Amazon Prime account, which I use, and I've also got Netflix, which came free with my broadband. So I do watch things on Netflix quite frequently, and I watch things on Amazon Prime now and then as well. And again, it just leads me to thinking, like, there's things that I want to watch, such as like Miami Vice, which sometimes is free to watch on Prime, sometimes it isn't. So if you want to watch it, you have to buy it so you can watch it. And yeah, I don't know, it makes me think that things like Napster and BitTorrent, etc., are possibly the future. And I really, really hate to say that, but it's getting to be so that there's so much fragmentation in the market, depending on what franchise you like to watch. Obviously you've got Disney Plus as well, so like things which used to be available on Amazon Prime or on Netflix or on other services such as, I don't know, Paramount, etc. It gets to a point where then they move stuff onto another platform. And it's just getting really frustrating, to the point of like doing illegal things to watch the content you want to watch is going to start making more and more sense. But then there's that whole moral dilemma. And
then there's that whole thing where they know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's a really, really difficult thing to do. I love to get into, like, Steam used to be my go-to. And for many, many years, Steam was the only kind of game setup on my system. But then, like, Fortnite came out. And then it's like, well, there's a couple of Epic games that I like, so, okay, let's install Epic. And then EA start doing their thing with, like, The Sims and also things like Theme Hospital and what have you. So all of these franchises, FIFA as well, I guess, other franchises within a franchise sort of thing. And yeah, I think just the more fragmentation there is in the market, the worse it's actually going to be eventually, because it just gets so frustrating having all these different game management engines. Like back in the day, it was fine because you'd go out, you'd buy your disc, you'd buy your floppy disks or your CD-ROM or your DVD, and you just install your game. And that was it. It was there. But whereas now, you're buying digital media, which is
phone, putting in your authenticator,
which is tied to your kind of authentication on your mobile phone, also tied to that specific outlet. And if at some point that outlet decides to cease trading or sell the franchise, you're basically screwed. So yeah, I don't know. I really want to buy a game because I've got to the point now where I'm getting a bit bored of the games I've got. There's a couple of options out at the moment. Obviously, like I said earlier, you've got the... yeah, I might start playing that.
No,
Katamari.
Yeah, that's the one.
I might start playing... what was it? Katamari Reloaded, isn't it? Yeah, Beautiful Katamari, yeah. I do like that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really want to spend a bunch of money on games which I don't actually own, because I don't have the physical media. It's all digital, and there's not really anything you can do about it. It just really annoys me.
Like Dutch
Let's see what people
Jan
say. What's Dutch Jan say?
Back in the day, we had 3 channels and there was nothing on. Now we have hundreds of channels and there's still nothing on.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. David Undo says, I have a sealed VHS of the original 3 Star Wars movies, but haven't owned a VHS player for years.
We took ours to the tip.
Yeah, we threw ours away. We used to be quite lucky because when we worked at the BBC, we were basically running the prop store. So if you ever needed like a video player or a DVD player or anything like that, you could just borrow it and put it back. Whereas now, I don't really want to buy a VHS player to watch my VHS movies, of which I've got probably about 3.
Where are they?
Upstairs in the cupboard.
Got what, like golf fun when we went
Yeah.
to play golf?
Yeah. The Gentleman Bad Boy says, I have no morals and haven't for a few years. There you go. Mark Berry says, if you buy something to watch on a streaming service, there is no guarantee it will be yours to watch in the future. Yeah, there has been, I think there was a few times, there was a legal thing where people had bought series or box sets on Amazon Prime, and Amazon Prime lost the rights to the shows, so they had to take the rights away from the people who bought the box sets. And I can't remember exactly what happened, but I don't think they got refunded the whole amount. I think they got like a token gesture towards what they lost. And some people had spent like hundreds of pounds or hundreds of dollars on these movies. So yes, it's... Rasher says, no, I think different content providers is better because competition means a better price for the consumer. There is that to it as well. Yeah, you don't really want it all amalgamated into one unified platform because firstly, they wouldn't be allowed to because of the monopolies and what do you call it? Monopolies Commission or whatever. So yeah, you can't have like a, well, yeah, that doesn't always work because if you think at the moment, Nvidia have basically got the monopoly on AI, even though there are other players, but it's basically Nvidia's show. And for the graphics market, they have basically got the monopoly on it. Monopolies aren't allowed in the UK, but clearly Nvidia are putting so much money into the UK government that they're not going to bite the hand that feeds, are they? One rule for thee, one rule for me.
Excuse me.
Dave Aiken says, get a disc PS5. Still quite a few games can be played without downloads and online registration.
But that era had rubbish games.
Yeah, I don't like
Really?
those.
I thought after what was that Crystal Xbox we had after
Yeah,
that,
that's
all the games seemed to be quite crap, didn't they?
Yeah.
That had like a nice variety.
Des says, I have 6 storefronts just to play games. Gentleman Bad Boy says he wanted to clarify. He has no morals when it comes to TV and media, not no morals in general. Just to clarify. We bailed you out there. Alpha Indigo says, got a NAS, back up your optical media, it's yours for life. I guess there is that to it. I think also as well, I do actually like to be able to stream content. Because actually storing physical media is a pain in itself and it takes up loads of room, and obviously you get things like disk rot and degradation of the media that it's actually stored on. So yeah, keeping a library of DVDs or CDs isn't really practical for the long term. So yeah, backing up to a NAS is a good idea. But then the price of storage now, if you were to back up all your media onto a NAS, which years ago we would have probably been a bit easier to do, yeah, the physical price of storage media is super expensive. So then you're almost back to cloud storage at the moment with the way prices are, although cloud storage is generally more expensive. But yeah, I really don't know what the solution is. And the more I think about it, I think the simplified solution is streaming services, which then takes you back to the whole kind of you'll own nothing and be happy,
Subscription.
which we got to at the very beginning of this stream, and to some extent it still kind of holds true. I can still see why that phrase, as much as I hate it and what it stands for and the kind of the darker side of it, it still does make sense. Like, if you stream stuff, you don't have to worry about storing it. You don't worry about your collection being damaged, because it's all available via a download, assuming you've got access to the internet.
Yeah, and the electricity.
Yeah.
And you can afford it.
Rasher says physical media games discs are better because you can play them and then sell them. Arguably, yes. But it depends where you're selling them and who you're selling them and what the title is. Because there's going to be some games you'll buy, and if you go to somewhere like CEX or whatever, any game exchange place, you're going to get a fraction of what it's actually worth. So it comes back to the kind of, you're almost better off using a subscription service like Xbox Live.
But what if you get banned from it?
Yeah, you're screwed.
So it's
You
not
have to
better,
set,
really.
well, you have to set up another account when you're under a different name. But yeah, I get what you mean.
But it's not as easy as it all sounds, is it? And like, why do you want to keep on making accounts with stuff when they keep leaking all your data?
That's true. Alpha Indigo says, try and avoid multiplayer only games. You will thank me when they turn off the servers. Rasher says, a good point, Mike. Video storage takes up so much space, and especially if you do it at a high bit rate, like a good quality. Our good friend of the channel, Welly Bob, I'm not sure if he's still listening, maybe he is, because he doesn't always hover over the keyboard these days, but yeah, Welly Bob is one of those people where he does a lot of video work in transcoding, and yeah, storing all that media has been a constant headache for him for the last God knows how many years. And yeah, I think at last count, I think he's got something like 10 hard drives in his, like, one of his computers. And that alone, the heat and the noise and the power usage for that is extremely high. And also, like, what happens if you lose it or a drive breaks? And if you store stuff of your own, you've got to really, if you want to, if it's valuable to you or valuable enough for you to keep, then it should also be valuable enough that you need to back it up. In which case, not only have you got a physical stored copy of it on your computer, you've potentially got another disk with backups of that, and also potentially it on a cloud service as well.
We have so much attachment to things in this world.
Again, that brings me back to the whole thing of you will own nothing and be happy.
So model, it's gone now. It's talked so long. Model Citizen. Second time they've put it in.
What time?
10:38, just above.
10:38. Model Citizen. Let's have a look. Model Citizen. There we go. Feel really bad. You possibly missed this for the first time, so here it goes again. Topical dad joke. Oh, well done. Somebody dropped a laptop off of a pier. There is now a Dell rolling in the deep. I see what you did there. I have a joke, but it probably won't make sense to a lot of people, so I'm not going to even say it. Mark Gaines says, Mike, are you going to get the new Call of Duty Modern Warfare when it's released on the 23rd of October? I would say the chances of me doing that are extremely no. It's not going to happen. I haven't enjoyed Call of Duty since probably the first or second or third game. I find now Call of Duty is just way too many controls. I know it's like a lot more realistic than it had been, but like, unless you play it on a joystick, I don't think it's really that easy to play on a keyboard, because you've got so many things you've got to map, like proning, half. I just don't get on with it at all. I really do enjoy playing Counter-Strike. I find Counter-Strike has got the kind of the perfect balance between movement and also kind of muscle memory. And probably you do get that with Call of Duty games as well, but I just find there's just way too many controls and things to do. And I think the last Call of Duty game, which came out, and then there's like an online version in there which you can do like a deathmatch type thing. I tried playing that and it just blew my mind. I just didn't understand what the hell was going on. There was way too many things to do, and like loadouts and a million different combinations of what you could do with your weapons and stuff. And it just really annoyed me because it didn't really seem to kind of hold my hand as much as the simpler games did years ago, like the first Call of Duty and stuff, whereas like it would almost like at every point it'd be like, well, press this button now, or do this, and go this way, or whatever. It just seemed that the new versions of Call of Duty, yeah, it didn't seem to be that intuitive for me. But I understand that they're massively popular. Simrab says, if you have the DVD collection already but no DVD, why keep paying to stream when you can store digitally? Yeah, I can understand that.
Also, when we did have all VHSs, we had loads of them. And we didn't have a problem with storage space. Not like we do if it's all stored on clouds and stuff.
Yeah, but if the house ever caught on fire or anything, it'd all be gone in a fell swoop, wouldn't it?
Shame it didn't really, because we had to chuck it all in the bin.
Viali says he's running out of room for his Blu-rays. I've got like 3 Blu-rays, I think. Maybe 2, possibly 3. And those are only because they're 3D ones. Because I bought a 3D TV back in the day and wanted to watch 3D movies. So I got the modern, was it Jules?
No, it was, I don't know.
It was some Walter... Prana 3D, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Prana 3D.
We watched
and
Final Destination, wasn't it?
Final Destination 3D. And I think
back in 2012.
I think there's, yeah.
Because Flame was a little kitten.
That was so long ago.
The glasses were too big for him.
David Underhill's question, Mike and others, have you ever been refused a refund for a downloaded game? I don't think I've ever tried to refund a game that I've downloaded, that I've paid for. Add that caveat in. I know certain game places like Steam, if you only play a game for a certain amount of hours, you can return it. There was 1 or 2 which I've considered trying to go through that, but ultimately I thought, well, I don't know if I can be bothered. I'm trying to think what titles they were, but they're obviously not very good, because otherwise I would have not done. Alpha Indigo says, Mike, you're old like me, bless.
And
Thank you.
If the internet died tomorrow, you will still have a DVD to watch.
True.
We'd have to have a telly and a DVD player.
Yeah, we need a DVD player. Gentleman Bad Boy says, VPN and Android box, no issues for years. Ordinary Dude says, 3D TV and curved monitors, neither aged well.
I didn't see much wrong with the 3D TV, really.
I quite liked 3D TV. It's quite immersive. For pain though.
But it was just expensive, wasn't it, for the Blu-rays?
Andrew Tim says, I have a 100 terabyte NAS with all my docs, spreadsheet, pics, Blu-ray, music, etc. I don't store anything on my laptop or desktop PC. How do you back that up? Because I'm in a sort of, no, not quite as much data as that, but I'm in a similar position, and I don't want to pay for cloud storage. And in fact, this week I've done the very brave thing of removing OneDrive from all of our computers. So no more OneDrive, no more OneDrive, and even on Kath's computer, where she was 20 gigs over her limit, no OneDrive.
I didn't want it on there in the first place.
Completely gone.
It decided to put it all my stuff on there, or by itself. I never wanted it on here from day one.
Viali's got an LG 55-inch OLED 3D TV, and it's as good as the day I got it. Have stacks of Blu-ray 3Ds. Cool. Alexa says OneDrive is the first thing I delete after a fresh install. Yeah, well, the Cavs computer has had that Windows 10 installation on it now for probably
15 years.
No, about 6 years. And back then, OneDrive wasn't really that bad. But there must have been an update at some point where OneDrive decided it was kind of like going to kick itself back in, because I think at one point we actually removed it, or at least unlinked it, but it managed to link itself again. So, but I'm not sure when.
I'd rather lose all my photos than let them have it.
Ordinary Dude says, my son and I both run Unraid machines and will be setting up a buddy backup now that he has his own house. I think that is what I would like to do at some point, to increase the storage space on my NAS and have a buddy system. Like, I could do it with my son's NAS, but we're in the same house, so it wouldn't really be a tremendous benefit. It really needs to be off-site if possible. Boris, how you doing, Boris? Says hello. How you doing? What's new? What's going on? Yeah, 3D TV and curved monitors. I'm not sure curved monitors have died yet. I think there's still a lot of curved monitors out there. And actually, I don't like curved monitors at all. I've had one. I've had a couple actually, and I don't like them at all. They make my vision go really weird. But then I do spend way too much time in front of a monitor. So maybe that's why. But I would like one. Going back again, this is something which keeps on cropping up all the time. My PC desk, I really want to use a 34-inch widescreen, like ultra wide, a 3440 by 1440p. That is what I want, but it physically won't fit in that desk by about an inch, and it drives me potty. So I'm actually still contemplating getting a curved version of a super or ultra widescreen, but I know it's going to mess with my eyes, and if I spend a lot of money on it, it will upset me. So yeah, I won't. I'll just make do with what I got. I will own nothing and be happy.
Just be more Buddha and lose attachment.
Yeah.
Bother me. Things go, really.
Alexa says OneDrive is kind of silly, especially for the people who complain about Microsoft spying on them. Yeah. Buy a bigger desk. Now that is another problem, because I'm not sure if it's the same in, well, I suppose it is in most areas and places. This house is a 1930s house, and every room has got, well, almost every room has got a chimney breast in it for a fire. So each side of the chimney breast is a recess, like an alcove, and Kath and I have both got our computer setups in the alcoves in like a desk setup.
And they fit nearly perfect.
And this room is very small, so I think it's only like just over 3 meters by 3 meters. It's tiny, but it's basically a living room, but sorry, a dining room, but we use it as our kind of our working room. So the fireplace is 1 meter wide, and the alcoves are both roughly 1 meter wide, like I think they're about 105 centimeters.
So it's probably the corner of that desk back to the wall is the alcove size, isn't it?
Yeah. So from this corner of the desk to basically behind this Kallax unit is essentially the width of the space. Well, it's a little bit more, not a lot more, but you get the general idea. So yeah, 2 alcoves roughly about 1 meter wide. So if you then take inside of that meter wide alcove, the PC desks we've got, I think, are about 80 centimeters. So you've got about 5 to 10 centimeters each side of the desk available. So if I had a desk which went the full width across, I would be able to get the monitor on there, but it isn't, and I can't. So most widescreen monitors measure in about 80 centimeters width, purely because of just the size they are and the dot pitch, etc. So if I can find one which is about 78 centimeters, I would be all over it. But I can't find one because I don't think they exist. So yeah, we'll see.
But they're kind of like cabinets, and you've got a load of junk in the bottom.
Model Citizen says UK houses are basically tiny. Yeah, and strangely, like ours is classed as being like a normal house size. So yeah, it's kind of weird. There are some modern built houses which are smaller than this.
We've actually looked, but they were much smaller.
Yeah.
But we looked at houses, didn't we, and they said this is a cupboard, and you could probably stack shoes in it sideways. And that was the depth of the cupboard. Remember that one at Yate?
Yeah. Semirab says, why not make your own desk? That is the thing. My, I suppose really at some point I should show you around what this looks like in here, but the desk is, it was from IKEA actually, both, piss off fly. The desk was from IKEA and it's basically about 4 foot high in total. And when you're finished with it for the day, there's 2 drawers at the bottom you close. There's a sliding keyboard thing which you slide in, and the top bit where your monitor is and a bit of storage above it has got folding doors as well. So when you're finished for the night, your PC and all that stuff's packed away, which was good for us because we had kids and cats, and it's nice to be able to shut everything away. And it just looked,
and the kids could get it all open for
yeah, and it looks a bit tidier. So as with most things, the storage needs have grown, and now so most of my tools, my kind of DeWalt collection, the batteries, etc., are in one side. On the other side are things like my socket sets and a few microphone arms and stuff like that. So that's all full up. Then I've got my keyboard and my mouse on the pull-out tray. Then I've got a 27-inch monitor, and the doors that flap open, on one of the doors is a vertically mounted USB 15-inch monitor. And that's what I use for Discord. And on the other side, I've got hooks and I've got all my USB drives hanging from them. Behind the monitor, there's a shelf, and on top of that, there's about 10 to 15 different little IKEA knick-knack boxes full of all things like mobile phone chargers, case accessories. Yeah, I tend to hoard stuff, and my PC isn't even in the desk; it's on top of the desk, which some of you have seen on Discord. So, and also, there's just a lot of shit there. Really is a lot of shit, knick-knacks, bits and pieces. So. I have considered at many points having just a desk going from like the edge of here, which you can't quite see on the stream I don't think, but from the edge of this Kallax unit over into that corner. And actually we did during COVID, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
During COVID we actually redesigned this altogether so that there was like a wraparound desk. So the desk went, actually how did it go?
Like one desk against that wall on it and 3 against that wall.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
2.
So I had one desk here, and then I had 3 of these desks all along this back wall.
No, I think there's 2 along that back wall. Because it wouldn't fit a 3, would it? If you look at it.
Yeah, because the third one was downward, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, we had one desk there, one desk there. Then there was another desk that went down here, and then another one that came out here. So it's kind of like a wraparound thing. And we tried it for, I think, less than a day, and it just didn't look right at all.
You wrecked the floor join, didn't you?
Ruined the floor. Basically, yeah, it was an absolute nightmare. Didn't work at all. And so we went back to it, and yeah.
It just looked all flat, and it was all one height. It was all flat on camera, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, everything looked really, really flat. It was weird because, yeah, I don't know why it had. There was much more depth because there was like 2 PCs in the background, plus another PC in the middle. And there was a gap between me and the camera and the desk, but it just looked all really like flat, and it just looked horrible. So yeah, it didn't work out well. Simrab says, was that when you redecorated the room or was it later? I think,
It had white wallpaper
yeah, we still had the white walls back then. Yeah, it was during the white wall era, which I do miss. I want to go back there. Ordinary Dude says Mike needs Linus to do an ultimate upgrade on his room. I need to do an ultimate upgrade on the house, really. It's just, literally, it's just, there is not enough room here. It is a genuine struggle, but it is what it is. And I am very grateful for the space that I have got, because I know there's other people that struggle even more so.
But
And
you did have a huge, great prop store.
yeah, that's
and
true.
you still filled that up exactly the same.
I did.
It's like almost identical. It's like living in the prop store now.
There's kind of like a place for everything, but not really. You just cram things into little bits and pieces. Like put these little shelves up to begin with, and then I put another one, like what we've got behind on the shelves up here. There is also over on that wall as well, but you can't see. One day, if I have a massive clean-up, I will try and do a tour of what this looks like. Some of you have seen it, like O'Reilly and Dave Aitken and Colin Hilton and Ugly Bob. I think that's it, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, they've been here and they've seen it, so they can understand it. There's a few people that have collected PCs and stuff, but of kind of channel regulars, they're the ones who've actually seen it. Alexa says my living room is 18 foot by 16 foot and is too small. David Under says my 2 computer rooms are 6 meters by 5 meters and 3 meters by 4 meters. Well, this one really is 3 by 4 roughly, but you've also got to take into account the chimney breast, which comes into the room as well, so it does take away some of the space. It's cozy. Especially when I'm trying to eat Christmas dinner in here. Dutch Jan says my living room office is approximately 50 square meters. I'd love that sort of space. Anyway, Boris, just this week I started building a new desktop PC. So far I got Intel Core Ultra 5 250K plus, nice. 184 pounds on eBay, and Gigabyte Z890 Aorus Elite Wi-Fi 7 Ice. Very good. Mike needs more cats. Alexa, I am going to find you and hunt you down.
Oh God, I wouldn't like to see you against a letter.
No, I wouldn't. I think I'd lose. Ordinary Dew says I feel spoiled with the space I have to work though. It makes it easy to hoard crap. Well, I hoard crap easily anyway, and
the bigger the space, the more you hoard.
It doesn't help doing reviews and getting cases because they take up so much room. And actually, I would say cases are the worst, but they're easy to get rid of. Arguably, the worst things are things like fans, because fans take up loads of room, and the fans are one of those things that you don't really want to get rid of just in case you need them. So then you end up keeping more. Like, I've got boxes and boxes of fans up there, which I tried minimizing it, and recently I got rid of a bunch of them, but I've still kept some which are either kind of like expensive or like are a matching set. Like in the PC behind me, I've got all those SWAV fans, so there are 8 in there.
But do you think you could, like, from my computer at least, just chuck all the boxes out? That'd be like one huge box gone, wouldn't it?
I could, but what happens when we sell your case or do something with it? Then you've got nothing to put it in.
I suppose, but the other boxes, because it's not going to really go anywhere, is it? It's going to be dead by the time we put it.
Kath is speaking ill of the dead with her motherboard, the B450 Pro M.
Well, I'm not
No,
going to have it replaced, am I, until it dies? Any of it.
Yeah, but even if it dies, you can still sell it. Spares or repairs.
But you don't need a box for that.
Yeah, but I keep the box for all the other stuff like the SSD, the cooler mounting bits.
But if we're running
accessories,
you could just chuck those boxes, can't you? Because it's not.
Yeah, but they're kind of useful.
For what?
Well, they're down there because they're out of harm's way anyway.
Yeah, but that should be empty and clear.
I know it should be.
Clutter.
Mini PCs for the win! Yay!
Come on, Poppy Dora.
If I could get Kath to have a Mac Mini, I could save a lot of space. But
Mike's very good at clearing
she wouldn't
up
go for it.
any little things of mine. We should get rid of this and we should get rid of that, but not his own stuff. You okay, Pops?
David Under says, need a sell site called Only Air Circulating Devices to sell the fans. Good one. Valley says, stop swearing, Mike. Crap all trash. David says, need a calf mini to save even more space. I agree. Right, time has just rolled round to 11 PM here in the United Kingdom, and I think we've probably exhausted the conversation. So, yeah, if you can think of any ideas what to do with the retro-inspired gaming PC case, please do let me know. Although, I don't think there's going to be any really good solutions. It's going to be just wing it and see what happens. Rasher come in with a joke. Our local off-license owner was arrested last week for having oral sex with a woman in a shop. He got away with it though because he had a liquor license.
Oh, Poppy.
Poppy says 999888888.
Little monkey, you.
He's good, isn't he? Build a Windows XP machine in it. I think if I did a Windows XP machine, I would buy a retro PC case and retro PC equipment.
You got one. You don't need to buy one.
That's true. I've got one. Yeah, I got it. Anyway, I think that is going to wrap this one up. Thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday evening. Hopefully you've been moderately entertained. If you haven't already, smash the like button. If you can, potentially share the stream.
Have you pressed the like button, Poppy?
Poppy hasn't pressed the like button, so she is not getting any food tonight. Yes. What was I saying? Doesn't matter. Yeah, share the video, like it, subscribe if you haven't already, and also, for those of you that are in the UK at the moment enjoying our rather unusually warm weather, please enjoy the rest of your weekend out sunbathing. David Underhill, get your long johns on, and yeah, the rest of you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bloody fly. That's the worst thing about the hot weather. You get the flies in, especially. Actually, they go around poo, don't they?
Yeah.
I know I'm tanned, but I'm not that tanned. Damn it. Anyway, moving on.
Say no more.
I'll be Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next live stream and on the next video out on Monday. Have a fantastic weekend, and we will see you all very soon. Thank you all again for your generosity, especially shout out to Raleigh, Mark Gaines, and Rasher. And Netritz.
That's the one.
I had to think then. And for anyone else, for members and patrons and all that, you're lovely people. And also, more exciting news next week, which we can't tell you about yet because it hasn't gone through officially, but there will be some new news about the channel. And yeah, we'll tell you when we can do. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Say bye, Kath.
Bye.